Hi collective, welcome back to my channel. I am the Nosy Witch and this is my channel, Nosy Witch Tarot. Just a heads up, my readings do tend to be fairly long, they tend to be deep dives, so feel free to grab a hot or cold beverage of choice, get settled, get cozy, because we have a lot to get through today. So today's reading is titled, The Very First Moment They Saw You. What really went through their mind? I'm sure you can guess what this one is about. But just to let you know, whether you are single, whether you're in a talking stage, or even if you're happily committed, this reading is for anyone who has ever wondered what that special person in their life really thought or will think, if we're talking about future tense, predictive messages, in that very first moment of meeting you. So we are going to be looking at first impressions, that initial spark, the energy when your eyes first met. What ran through their mind? What did they notice immediately? Were they struck by something about you? Were they drawn in by a specific detail? Or did something about you catch their attention in a way they didn't quite expect? We'll also explore themes surrounding whether this was like a love at first sight, instant recognition, or more of a slow burn kind of beginning. If this reading is about someone from your past or someone you're currently with, these messages might come through more as confirmations that you already know, like a little peek back into those early days before labels, before comfort, before routines with your person. For some of you guys, if this is about a current connection, we might pick up on things that you guys don't already know. You might get some cute surprises coming through because maybe you've asked your person, like if you've been with them for a long time, what they first thought of you back in those early days. And you might have said, like, you know, be honest, what did you really think when you first saw me? But, you know, maybe they can't fully remember because it's been so long, or you get them saying the classic stuff like, oh, you know, I thought you were cute, I thought you were cool, but then they kind of clam up. Yeah, if they've never really elaborated and you've been dying for the actual tea, this is where we're going to spill it, like everything that was on their mind, everything that they were feeling. So yeah, some of the messages might come through as things they've already told you, but some things might be a little bit more surprising. Now, if you're not in an official relationship, but you do have someone in mind, maybe you're crushing, maybe you're in the talking stage, maybe it's a situationship, or, you know, there's just someone you've got your eye on, this reading might be a mix of both energies. You'll likely get some confirmations about what they truly thought when they very first met you or first noticed you, and you also may get some more predictive messages about how things could unfold the next time you see them, or what their deeper reactions have been beneath the surface if you don't know about that yet. And if you are in the group where you are single or you are waiting to meet someone new, this will be all about that future first meeting. So if this is about a person you haven't met yet, these messages, like I say, they're likely to be more predictive, giving you a little preview of that first spark, that initial chemistry, and what this future boo will notice right away. We'll look at what they'll think the moment they see you, what stands out to them immediately, how your energy hits them, and the very first thoughts that cross their mind when you two finally encounter each other for the first time. So like I said, whether this is someone brand new entering your life or someone you are going to cross paths with soon, this part of the reading will give you a glimpse into how that connection begins on their side, the vibe, the attraction, and the emotional or energetic impression you make right from the start. So in terms of the reading breakdown and some of the things we might cover, obviously I do not know yet what's going to come through in every single pile, but as an overview, it could be some of the following things. So the circumstances of your very first encounter, you know, so what's happening around you, what's going on in both of your lives, and the overall energy of that moment. How they perceive you instantly, so your vibe, your aura, and the energy you give off in that first glance. We're going to look at the initial chemistry or connection, whether it feels familiar, magnetic, awkward, intense, slow building, or unexpected. What they notice immediately, so maybe details about your appearance, your voice, your energy, your presence, and your personality. We're going to look at what sparks their interest, specific traits, gestures, or features that draw them in or intrigue them. Their overall first impression, you know, how they kind of peg you initially, what assumptions they might make, what stands out, and what they presume that you're like. We're going to look at the vibe between you guys, so the energy exchange, how the conversation flows, or what the environment feels like. We might get some intuitive downloads on the way, so our usual random but specific details like astrology, signs, numbers, songs, places, or oddly specific details that pop through. I'm not going to do my usual like confirmation section at the beginning of the reading, but we might get some confirmations throughout. We're also going to be covering their private thoughts and reactions, so what is going on in their brain after you guys meet around that time, their inner commentary basically and their feelings. So time for the disclaimers. If you have already picked your pile in your head, you can skip straight to that timestamp if you prefer, if you don't want to listen to all this BS that I have to go over. But yeah, I'm gonna do the disclaimers. So as always, this is a collective reading. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It is a free reading on the internet and I'm not holding you hostage here. You always have free will, okay? And because this reading involves other people's thoughts, I like to add a little bit of an extra disclaimer. Other people's thoughts about you are exactly that, their thoughts. Their perceptions aren't always the objective truth or the facts or who you truly are as a person. Now, I always aim to be honest in these readings and I never know exactly what's going to come through, especially when we're literally asking spirit to spill the tea and bring forward the truth. I'm literally just the messenger, I'm just the vessel. I'm not commenting on whether I think their impressions are correct or not. This isn't the nosy witch's first impression of you. This isn't the universal truth about you. It is just this person's impression of you. And that doesn't mean that they're right about everything, okay? And also remember that this is a first impression. I know I keep saying it, but of course it depends on the context, the environment, the headspace you were both in at the time. Just because they thought something initially in that moment doesn't mean that they still think that now. I know these disclaimers sound really dramatic, as if something awful is going to come out in this reading, but I promise it's probably not. I think this reading is going to be super sweet, really romantic, fun, and very interesting, very tea-spilly for the most part. But because we are asking for honesty, if something comes through that doesn't give you that feeling, that is okay. I would recommend you leave it for whoever it's meant for, because that specific message might just not be for you. You could choose a different pile, or you could step back entirely if you are not in the headspace to hear someone else's perspective right now. You know, this isn't intended to make you paranoid or defensive. These readings are mostly here to confirm what your intuition already knows, or for the future scenarios to prepare you for what might happen. Nothing is set in stone and you have agency here. And listen, like, I'm really sorry guys, I know this is so obvious to most of you. Trust me when I say I don't want to give like 100,000 disclaimers. I know the majority of you already understand all of this, but unfortunately, because I have been met with a lot of hatefulness when I've done readings like this in the past, and yeah, I understand that is part and parcel of being on the internet, but doing these disclaimers just helps me protect my peace a little bit. It just makes sure that everyone knows what to expect going in, okay? And with that said, any bigotry, any rudeness, any hostility or bad vibes, those will be banished, rebuked, and returned straight back to sender, thank you. Now, the reason I even bring this up is because sometimes people have, when it comes to love readings, a very specific idea of what their future boo or spouse should be like. And if I say something that doesn't match that fantasy, suddenly I get a lot of comments that are like, you know, I would never date someone like that. How dare you? My future spouse would never say that. I wouldn't accept that. And again, listen, that's fine. Literally no one is forcing you. I don't think this person is going to drag you to the altar. Nobody is making you claim a pile like it's your compulsory homework. But sometimes it descends into people writing full essays, like actual dissertations, listing all of their preferences and their deal breakers and their requirements and red flags and green flags, not in like a sharing their experiences sort of way, which I love, like you're always welcome to do that, but in a sort of like, let me explain to you why you are wrong, nosy witch sort of way. I'm sure you know the ones, the comments that come across like lectures directed at me personally, as if I've committed a crime by saying something that didn't match their fantasy future spouse. It goes from like, here's my personal preference, to actually, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. My future spouse would never do that. You're wrong. You're delusional. And I'm like, first of all, I'm delusional. Valid. Thank you for noticing. Second of all, who made you the CEO of romance? At that point, it's given like writing a full Hinge profile in my comment section, but in a rude and condescending way. And I'm sitting there like that old meme that's like, sir, this is a Wendy's. Like, are you trying to date me? Because why are you very aggressively listing your criteria and deal breakers at me? Like, I need to follow them. Like, that list is for your future boo, not for me. So go tell them, bestie. Go get them, they're out there. Maybe you'll both meet at the same therapist's office, but you are not going to meet them in my comment section shouting at me. I love when you guys overshare, do not get me wrong, I love when you guys tell me stories, talk about what you like or don't like. That's beautiful and it's very, very welcome. I'm just talking about the comments that are disrespectful, hostile, or scolding me over literally a free reading on the internet. Just remember, these aren't personal readings and everyone's love style is different. What one person finds romantic, another person might find cringe. What makes one couple melt might make someone else gag. You know, different strokes for different folks. What we're not going to do is be rude or judge other people's connections or act holier than thou. As long as everything is safe and it's consensual and it's between adults, we don't need a manifesto explaining why you personally don't like someone else's relationship dynamic. And what we're especially not going to do is make assumptions about me, my relationships, or my character because of a free tarot reading I've put on the internet. Let's not do that, it's silly. And you will be arguing with an empty room because I know who I am and I know my intentions, and that is all I need to know. Anyway, with that said, with that ranty, yappy disclaimer out of the way, let's go ahead and introduce the piles. Of course, you are welcome to pick more than one. If multiple piles are calling to you, timestamps will be listed below and they will take you directly to the start of your chosen reading. We are going to be using a mix of oracle cards and your chosen tarot deck today. So over here we have the Gourmet Tarot with the Croissant Yummy sticker. And we have pile 1. Did I say that? That's pile 1. We have pile 2 with the Cosy Witch Tarot and the pig sticker. Here we have pile 3 with the Inspired Neon Tarot and the shoe sticker. Here we have pile 4 with the Final Rose Tarot and the Wi-Fi sticker. And here we have pile 5 with the Real Talk Tarot and the sun sticker. Before we go ahead and jump in, I just want to say thank you so much genuinely for being here, for listening and for spending this time with me. It means more to me than you guys could ever realise. Whether you've been here forever or you are brand new to the channel, I appreciate you deeply. Please feel free to share anything you want in the comments, your stories, your thoughts, your feelings, as long as it's done with kindness and respect. This community is such a blessing to me and I'm really grateful for how supportive and funny and honest and open you all are with me. And if you'd like to support the channel, the easiest and most powerful way to do that is to simply like the video, comment if you get a chance, please hype. Don't really know what it does, but thank you to those of you who have done it. I think it helps. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and share the reading if you think somebody else might enjoy it. All of that really helps me more than you know, and I'm always just so humbled and so grateful for every little bit of love that you send my way. With that said, let's get started with your reading. I'll see you at your chosen pile, collective. Hi Pile 1 Collective. If you chose the Gourmet Tarot and you chose this yummy croissant sticker and you chose Pile 1, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled The Very First Moment They Saw You. What really went through their mind? For a full breakdown of everything this reading entails, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference, but just as a little overview before we go in, this is a fun, intuitive deep dive into someone's very first impression of you, whether it's your current boo, the person you are trying to soft launch on your Instagram stories, or a future connection you haven't even met yet, who is definitely just minding their business somewhere, completely unaware that they are about to start in this reading. So basically, if you've ever wondered what your current boo really thought the very first moment they saw you, or if you want to know what your future boo is going to think when you walk into their life and disrupt their peace, this reading is absolutely for you. Like I say, I do recommend checking out the pinned comment or the introduction just so you know what to expect. I cover everything there. But without any further hesitation, let's get started and jump straight into your reading. We are going to be using a mix of oracle cards and tarot cards today, as always. So let me pop your little croissant to one side for now so we can have a look at your cards. Okay, over here on the left from the Wild Whiskers Oracle, we have got Elegant Eagle, Clarity, Inspiration, Insight, Ancient and Sacred Beast of the Skies, awaken my spirit to soar to new heights. From the Affirmations of Fairy Cats, we have got Blossom. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got Upside Down. From the Audacity deck, we have got the Bottle. From the Past Lives Oracle, we have got Swindler, Perpetrator, Exposed, Swindled, Evaded Capture. Okay. And for your tarot cards, we have got the Four of Pentacles, and clarifying the Four of Pentacles, we've got Judgment. Okay, big energy already. We have got the Star, clarifying the Star, we've got the Nine of Pentacles. We have got the King of Swords, huge energy, Pile 1. Clarifying the King of Swords, we've got the Lovers. Very big energy. That's all I can say at this point. And we have got Three of Pentacles, and clarifying the Three of Pentacles, we have got the Hermit. Okay, interesting. Swindler makes me think of, is it this show, The Tinder Swindler on Netflix? I haven't actually seen it, but I've seen it pop up. So dating apps could be relevant, that show could be relevant. Maybe you met this person via something that was organised on Tinder or via a dating app. But I will say that's not going to be for everyone. That might be a confirmation for like one person, just because I don't think the majority of you did, like, I don't think this was like a pre-arranged date the first time you met. And I'll explain why, but I just wanted to mention it in case it was relevant to anyone. Maybe at the time you guys meet, somebody is like, oh, I'm done with Tinder, like, I've just deleted my Tinder, or I've just deleted my dating app. It could be something like that as well, like a dating app being relevant to this connection. But yeah, first of all, this person's first impression of you right off the bat, pile one, is I'm hearing the phrase, you look like spring, you feel like spring, and also this person is immediately sprung on you. I'm literally hearing the phrase the first day of spring. You feel like the first day of spring, like when everything's blooming. And I'm also hearing randomly Jolene by Dolly Parton, specifically the line that's like, your smile is like a breath of spring, your voice is soft like summer rain. So this person immediately notices that there's this fresh, soft, glowy quality to you. It's like you walk in and the energy shifts. It kind of goes from grey to pastel. So for some of you, there could literally be a spring connection here. Maybe somebody has a spring birthday, either you or this person. Maybe you met around spring, or you will meet in spring if this is future tense. Or there's something about a spring wardrobe at the time you meet. So maybe when you meet, you're wearing like florals, or you're wearing light fabrics. Somebody, if you've ever had like a colour analysis done, you could have a very spring coded palette, or you could just gravitate towards those kind of colours, or something about your features is very spring coded. So, you know, soft pinks, blush tones, corals, lilac, light blue, mint, lemon yellow, or like a fresh white with a little pop of colour, rosy blush, like a pretty pink lip, like we said, florals, a floral dress, or something that just makes you look like you're a walking bouquet. So they notice this, they notice that you look bright, like inviting, blooming, glowing. You look really radiant. But with the song Jolene, there's also a lyric after the one I mentioned where she's like, but I cannot compete with you, Jolene. So I think that is relevant too, because I keep getting that song in my head. And it's not that they are competing with you, that would be a bit weird, but their first impression, it feels a little bit like they look at you and immediately think you are out of their league. It kind of gives me this vibe of, oh, that's Barbie, like Power One is Barbie and I'm just Ken, like that sort of thing, if you know what I mean. Like they're all that and I'm just me. And that's why I said that for a lot of you, I don't think this was necessarily a pre-organised date. I'm not ruling it out. Like, I know I did mention Tinder myself, so there could be something around that that's relevant. But for a lot of you, this kind of gives me more of like a chance meeting, because I'm getting that you might walk into a place. Let's say, as just one example, you walk into this bar or this venue, and it's like you're looking fully on point. I'm not saying that you have to like dress super glamorous if you know that's not you, but for many of you, it's like you're wearing your good clothes, you know, and your makeup is on point and your hair's looking good, and it feels like you're catching the attention of a lot of people in the room. You are like standing out as this glowy spring like breath of fresh air that steps into the place and kind of changes up the air. And meanwhile, it's like this person, they feel as though like, oh, they've just swung by this place straight after work, you know, maybe still in their grey office clothes, like maybe feeling a little bit tired, you know, maybe they haven't even had a chance to shower yet because they were just like going for a quick drink after work and then going home or something. And in that moment, they're kind of like, oh, Power One really stands out and I very much do not right now. Like everyone in here is going to be competing for their attention. So what do I have to offer when I'm in like this state, when I don't, I guess, feel quite prepared for you? For some of you, they literally think like, if I'd known that this person was going to step in here, I would have gone home and freshened up. I would have got changed. Like I would have worn my best cologne or perfume or something like that. So I'm getting like, definitely for a lot of you, this does feel like more of an unexpected meeting, a chance encounter, rather than a carefully curated first date. You feel a little bit like the plot twist of the night is something that I'm getting. They didn't expect to meet you. And when they do, when you walk in, their heart is suddenly in their throat. They don't know what to do with themselves. You know, we literally have that upside down card. And for me, this feels a little bit kind of like a tower moment, but the fun version of a tower, like more like being turned upside down on a roller coaster. It's not catastrophic, it's more like, oh no, this person is gonna wreak havoc on my life in the best possible way. It's making me feel a bit dizzy, but it's in like a very fun, adrenaline, thrill kind of way rather than destruction. The destruction that sometimes comes with like the tower, for instance. Another phrase I'm getting, something that immediately kept popping into my mind, and it's this very cheesy, very like cringeworthy classic pickup line, but it's like, what is a girl slash guy like you doing in a place like this? Which I know you've probably heard 1,000 times, and you'd be like, if someone said that to me, like, they're not getting a chance, like, that is far too cheesy. I'm not saying they said this to you, but literally they were thinking, like, what is a person like you doing in a place like here? So one of the strongest messages I keep getting from their first impression is like, you stand out from the environment in some way. Wherever this is, they almost feel like you look too good to be there. Again, this is their perspective. I'm not saying this is what you think, but it feels like one of those moments where they recognize that this isn't a place that you would go to usually, maybe, or you stand out in some way. So it's like they want to say to you, but I think even when I was like recognizing, oh my god, that's super cheesy, I think they recognize that too. Like, they might not ever say that to you, but they take one look at you and they're like wanting to say, oh, you're not from round here, are you? Or you don't come here often, do you? Or you're not one of the locals. Like, what are you doing here? So for some of you, this might literally be like you are traveling, or you are in a different area, a different town, a different country, or you're just somewhere, even if it is in your hometown, that you don't usually tend to go, and they feel like they can tell based on a first impression. Your energy feels very different to what they've experienced before, first of all, but they're also thinking like, I would remember, if I'd seen Pal 1 before, like, I would remember that face. There is no way that I'd ever forget that. There's also this kind of protective feeling coming through too. It's almost like they view you as too pure or too soft or too special for the environment you're in. And this upside down card, I always say, like, it gives me strip club vibes. That is what it looks like. And this is almost giving me, I'm not saying this is you, but it's like if you saw a nun in a strip club, like, something about it just seems out of place. Obviously not literally, but in the sense of like, this person is looking at you and thinking, you should be somewhere fancy, you know, being worshipped, not somewhere grimy like this with people gawking at you. You know, I'm not saying you're literally in a strip club, unless you are, in which case, live your life, but it's that sense of like something being out of place, there being a contrast here. And the example that's coming through, it doesn't have to be this one for you. I'm just trying to put this in like a tangible context. For those of you who are like, nosy witch, how dare you suggest that I would meet my future spouse in a strip club? I'm not saying that it's that literal, okay? But the other example that's coming through, it's like, let's say you and your friends are dressed up for some formal or fancy event, and maybe one of your cars breaks down or plans change and you don't make it to this nice place that you're meant to be going. So instead you wander into like the nearest little pub or bar or diner, and it's a little bit dingy, a little bit grimy. It feels very like locals only, or you guys feel like you're super overdressed or something like that. Like, you and your crew walk in looking really elevated and glam and done up, and the whole room kind of tends to stare, almost like, oh, what is this exotic cuisine that's just walked in? Like, they're not from around here. And your person, they are noticing all of this too, and they're thinking like, oh, they don't belong here, like, they deserve better than this. You know, people are going to be like drooling over them, treating them like fresh meat or something like that. So right away, the first impression, it's a mix of intense attraction and protective instinct. They're a little bit like, I want them, but I also want to make sure that no one bothers them. It's a really interesting mix. They could know, like, if they are a local of this place, they could know kind of what the people are like there, so it's almost like they're watching out for you in a way. With the Elegant Eagle card coming through, one of the first things this person clocks about you is actually how perceptive you are. They actually might notice, particularly if this is a place that you are unfamiliar with, it could be that they notice that you are kind of hypervigilant. So you could be keeping a discreet eye on your drink, you could be scanning the room, you could be watching other people's body language. You could make sure that you're always keeping an eye on where your friends are if you're with your friends, and you just sort of generally notice what's going on around you. This could just be your response to being somewhere that's a little bit unfamiliar, if that is the case, especially if you are a woman or you are femme presenting. This might just be part of your safety and I guess your survival programming. You know that you have to be alert. And they notice that. They're saying that they notice your eyes. So your eyes might be kind of like darting around the room, clocking exits, checking up on your friends, clocking who's watching you. You could also actually clock them. They're saying they notice that you do not miss a trick. So you come across as very astute, very sharp, and very switched on is something that they're gauging about you. And again, it's this really interesting mix because on the one hand, they see you as like kind of cute and pure and angelic and elegant, like someone they need to protect. Someone where they're thinking like, oh, you are too good for this place. But on the other hand, they quickly realize like, oh, they know exactly what's going on. Like, they're not naive, they're very aware. But they also sort of feel like you shouldn't have to be this alert. It's like they're saying that they kind of want to be the one doing that for you. So even if it's from a distance at first, I feel like this person is definitely keeping an eye on you. And at some point, I do feel like there's eye contact going on here. Maybe it does feel slightly spicy, slightly loaded. You might catch them looking, you might lock eyes across the room, and it's a very kind of instant recognition coded is something that I want to say. Okay, so there's a couple of different, like, kind of not contradicting messages, but interesting messages that I'm getting, and it's basically like two very different reactions from this person towards you that are happening at the same time. Right, okay, I'll just explain what I mean. Because one of the first messages I got was literally, they want to take you home. And a lot of you are probably like, yeah, obviously, like, I looked hot that night, you know, people always want to take me home. And yes, accurate. You did pick the Gourmet tarot, and with that little yummy croissant sticker, your person's body is 100%, 1000% on board with that theme. You know, their initial physical body-based reaction is very like, yummy, I want that, that looks good, I would like a taste. So they think you look like a snack. And they are definitely thinking about how good you look, how you would feel, how you taste, how fun it would be to show you a good time. It's very like, I want to flip your world upside down in a way that I cannot go into on YouTube. It's very not YouTube friendly. But with that upside down card, it's like, yeah, they want to turn your world upside down. So there is a very strong physical attraction here. You are very much their type, I would say. But then there's this other layer, and it's this part that they weren't expecting, because another part of them is like, oh, but I also just want to take pal one home and just take care of them. Like, I want to cook them a nice meal. I want to like tuck them into bed and cuddle them and make sure they're safe and make sure they're warm. Like, they look like they would be really nice to cuddle. So it's almost like this weird mix of like, I want to absolutely ruin them in a good way, and I want to wrap them in bubble wrap and make sure that nothing bad ever touches them. So it comes across as a little bit of a protective nurturing instinct, like we mentioned, almost a little bit like I want to mother or father them energy in a wholesome way. And this is especially amplified if the environment, for whatever reason, feels a little bit sketchy, or it feels a little bit like out of your comfort zone, or a different quality to how you present. Because again, they're like, you know, you shouldn't be here. I want to show you what real comfort looks like. You deserve luxury and softness, and you deserve safe spaces, not random weirdos drooling over you. And because they're very self-aware, they might actually reprimand themselves for having those initial lustful thoughts about you, because they do know that you probably get sexualized a lot. And I don't think they want to be another person making you uncomfortable. I think they're very aware of that. So they are trying to separate their body's like knee-jerk reaction. They're trying to separate their mind and their value. The body is saying yummy, yummy, yummy. And their higher self is like, calm down. Like, don't be like everyone else. Don't make them feel weird. Don't be gross, sort of thing. Like, don't be a creep. So there's this very much like internal tug of war. And yeah, we also have Blossom, which again just makes me think of somebody going through a glow up, flourishing, looking really radiant, coming into their own. So you could identify with like being in your I'm finally thriving era when you encounter this person, and that is something they definitely notice. And again, it does make me think very much of spring energy, and that makes me think of baby animals, specifically lambs. And now like I'm getting an example in my head that kind of makes me think like this is a little bit what this person thinks about you. But basically every time we drive past baby animals, specifically lambs, my instinct is always like, can we just pull over, because I want to take this lamb home. Like, I want to be its mother, I want to nurture it, I want to protect it, I want to keep it safe. And that's the vibe this person gets from you at first. You feel to them a little bit like a lamb in spring, you know, cute, fresh, soft, maybe slightly vulnerable looking, and it feels like you're a little bit exposed in some way, because in my example it's usually when like the lambs are very close to the car and I'm thinking like, where's your mum, why are you not with your mum, why are you here on your own, like why are you so close to the road? So it's like you're too close to the metaphorical road, in some way you are exposed, not necessarily literally, although we'll talk about that in a second, but they feel as though you're exposed to people's eyes, you're exposed to a lot of attention, you're exposed to people who might want to take advantage, is how they feel. So it's almost like, horrible example, I'm sorry, but I'm getting the phrase like a lamb to the slaughter. So they feel like this is in the sense of everyone is going to be watching you, flirting with you, trying to talk to you, trying to claim your energy. So initially they might think, yeah, I have to look after this person, even if it's just with my eyes, like keeping a watchful eye on them from across the room. But then another separate message that I'm getting, well, it's not completely separate, it's in relation to that, but it's like very quickly they realize that you do know how to handle yourself, although you might look vulnerable. So you might be very good at like turning people down politely, deflecting weird energy, redirecting conversations, setting boundaries without causing drama. So it's like their first impression kind of evolves because they notice you are going from like damsel in distress to like, oh no, they're actually extremely capable. They are just soft and elegant with it. Also, for a smaller group of you, Blossom is giving a very specific side story, so I want to talk about that. Because for some of you, this is an absolute like first impression, first ever impression, but for others, this could be like a renewed first impression. And that's kind of what I was thinking of when I was talking about that glow up energy. So this, for example, could be someone who you knew when you were younger, a childhood friend, someone who knew you when you were still like a little bit awkward or figuring yourself out, a friend of a sibling who hasn't seen you since you were a child, someone you haven't seen in like 10, 15, 20 years. And now they're seeing you and it's like this brand new first impression because they're like, oh, you grew up, you filled out, you blossomed. It's almost giving me, I've mentioned this example before, but a movie makeover moment, like that cliche where the nerdy character takes off their glasses and suddenly everyone is like, wait, they're hot. And obviously, like, as we've talked about, that nerdy character is always played by someone who is very conventionally attractive, and with or without glasses, they're hot. Like, that is the point here, you were always attractive. This is not about you suddenly becoming worthy only after a glow up or something like that. It's more that now, like, you've come into yourself, like your confidence and your self-assurance and your independence are shining through in a new way, and it's like they're seeing you with a fresh pair of eyes. And I'm saying that because I know some of you, if you're anything like me, your brain might go, if they only like me after the glow up, then no thank you. You know, if they couldn't love me at my unhinged and covered in Cheeto dust, they don't get to appreciate me at my unbothered and moisturised. But this feels deeper than that, you know, it's less about like, oh, you're pretty now, like I never noticed you were pretty before, and more about like you've become this fully formed, powerful, self-possessed person, and that is really mesmerizing. But if it's not that, like if this is not a renewed first impression and this is the very, very, very first time you are ever meeting this person, which might be the case for most of you, I think this is just this person noticing like that is a person who looks like they're really flourishing at this time. Now, the bottle, this to me says something about courage, because I'm thinking of the phrase, I bottled it. That's quite a common phrase here in the UK, and it basically means like a chickened out sort of thing, kind of. But this is about like bottled up energy. It's like their reaction to you is very, very big, but immediately they start trying to contain it. So on the outside, to look at them, they might be very cool, calm, composed, polite, but inside is like champagne corks popping, you know, butterflies, adrenaline, overthinking, mild panic, them being like, what is this feeling and how do I turn it off? Also, when we were talking about being exposed earlier, this top of the bottle obviously is meant to like mimic a nipple, isn't it? And I don't think it's an accident that it's come through on this reading. So for some of you, this won't be for everyone, but if you are wearing a top that's a little bit see-through, or it's cold out. There could be something about noticing your chest or noticing your nipples. That's, again, not for everyone. I just want to mention it in case it's confirmation for somebody. You know, maybe it is cold out, maybe you're braless, maybe you are feeling a little bit exposed, or like you're wearing something a little bit skimpy the night you meet. Maybe the outline of your shape is visible in some way. Maybe for some of you, your dress has like a thigh slit that keeps you riding up. Maybe it's not to do with nipples, but it could be like an outfit maybe that shows your cleavage or shows some skin, and they notice this. They're trying very hard not to notice and for their eyes not to go there, but they do notice. So you might catch them glancing at your chest, your legs, your neck, any exposed area really, and then they might immediately feel like, oh my god, stop it. Don't be weird, don't be like every other person staring at them. So again, there is this duality of them being like, I want them so badly, but I also want to respect them. I want to come across as like a decent person who's not just ogling them, sort of thing. In terms of confirmations that are coming through, I am getting a few, like all their little physical details that they might notice. This might not apply to all of you, but one of these might resonate, and it's just a little bit of extra clarity. So there's something about somebody with tiny or delicate hands. I'm seeing knee-high boots or long boots. Something about shoes in general, them clocking your footwear. There's something about the colours you're wearing that day or that night. They think those colours look really good on you. They notice the way your outfit is put together. There's something about your hair. Maybe it's soft and shiny. Maybe it's styled really nicely. If they do touch you at any point, for whatever reason, they might notice how soft your skin feels as well. You come across as very elegant, like very upmarket, very put together. You also look like you know your fashion, but it's not in a trend chasing kind of way, but it's more in like a timeless or cohesive way. Basically, they're saying like you know what suits you, and you wear styles that never go out of style, if that makes sense. Like you never look frumpy or dowdy, even if you're not keeping up with the latest TikTok trend, as just one example. They're getting like definite Queen of Pentacles vibes from you as well. They notice that you're somebody who seems quietly confident, very self-possessed. You are radiating this aura of like, I know who I am. You're not being loud, you're not being attention-seeking, but you are still impossible to ignore, is something they are acknowledging here. This upside down card is basically like their brain exiting the chat. Like the moment they see you, they're just like questioning everything. You are definitely this plot twist moment for them. Someone who turns their world upside down. They're questioning like their emotional availability, their usual sense of control that they like to cling to. I'm also hearing, it's an old song, I think it's from the 90s or the early 2000s. I cannot for the life of me remember who it's by, but I remember singing it all the time when I was a kid. It's a pop song that's like upside down, bouncing off the ceiling, inside out, stranger to this feeling. They honestly feel like a stranger to their own reaction. Like they don't normally act like this, they don't normally feel this way. They're not used to being hit this hard is the thing, this quickly. They're not used to being like, why do I want to say pounded? Like pounded by attraction and by curiosity. But they do find themselves just very much like wanting to be closer to you or wanting to keep you in their sight. You might notice things about them, like no matter where you are in the room, they always seem to be in your eye line. They're like, I'm thinking of like those porcelain dolls, like haunted dolls where their eyes follow you around everywhere. You could notice that no matter where you are, like this person's gaze seems to land on yours. You could notice that they tend to migrate closer to where you're standing at any given time, or they find reasons to be near you or be near your group, or like if you disappear for a moment, they start looking around the room for you, something like that. Even before you guys have properly spoken, it's like they're clocking where you are. And I think once you guys start talking, it's like they're finding ways to sit near you or stand near you or be in your little orbit. Why am I hearing they want to fold you like a pretzel? I'm sorry, part one. So yeah, like they are absolutely having some spicy, intrusive thoughts. But again, they're also like telling themselves to calm down because they know it's a little bit like full on. Yeah, sorry about that. And yeah, from the past life oracle, we have that swindler card. This is actually pretty hilarious to me because on some level, they feel like pile one swindled me. Not in a malicious way, but in the sense of like you stole their peace, or you walked in, then you rearranged their brain chemistry with zero effort, and then maybe just like disappeared into the night. There's almost this feeling of like I wanted to claim them and then they got away. So for some of you, you connect with this person during the night, and maybe there is good conversation and there's flirting and there's chemistry, and they are planning to talk more to you or just to say goodbye properly, and then you're gone, like you just disappear. So maybe at whatever event you're at, you kind of like Irish exit the event. Maybe you're not thinking too much of it and you just leave early because you're tired or you're hungry or you're just over it. Maybe you feel like you've had too much to drink if there's alcohol involved and you're just like, oh, it's time for me to go home. Or you're just not looking for anything in particular and you don't really think too much of disappearing without saying goodbye. Meanwhile, they're kind of like, oh, what do you mean they left? Like I wasn't done with them yet. I thought I had more time with them. So they feel a little bit robbed. They feel like you evaded capture, you slipped through their fingers. For some of them, that's actually the moment they realise though, like, well, I just met this person tonight, like, why am I so bothered? Like, why do they need to say goodbye to me? Why do I care so much about that? Like, why am I so pressed about this person that I just met? Which leads us very, very nicely to your tarot. So with the Four of Pentacles, clarified by Judgment, the Four of Pentacles is that guarded, holding on, clinging kind of energy, and Judgment is the big wake-up call. It's this moment of like, oh, this means something, like this means something. So their first impression comes with the immediate internal response of like, I need to protect myself, don't get carried away, don't show your hand, because this attraction, it hits them fast and it hits them deep and they do not like feeling out of control. I think that really worries this person. So they might like freeze a little bit initially. They might try to keep a poker face. They might keep their cards very close to their chest. They might act more reserved or aloof than they actually feel. So on the outside, you know, they could come across as very stoic, very calm, barely really reacting. But on the inside, it's like fanfare, opera music, existential crisis, overanalysis, with a lot of desire as well. Desire and panic at the same time. Judgment says that meeting you feels like a turning point moment for them. You might make them rethink their love life, their standards, again, their emotional availability, their I'm not ready story, their usual way of approaching people. You trigger a kind of soul level wake up in them, and they're not expecting that. Not just from like this random night, whenever they met you, whenever this happened, they didn't envision feeling this way, or meeting somebody like you. They also notice that your presence makes them very aware that they are like acting out of character in some way. It's not necessarily in a bad way, but even in this sense of like them being watchful over you, they might be asking themselves like, why do I care so much about this random person that I've just met? Like, why do I feel the need to have eyes on them? Or to be like protecting them energetically even. Or it could be something like they feel as though you've put them under your spell, because I'm getting this example of do you know in the Vampire Diaries, if you guys have ever seen it, where a vampire will put somebody else under compulsion? They'll look into their eyes and say to them like, you're going to do this, and the person does it without question, but obviously they don't really know why they've done it. It's kind of that similar energy. Like maybe this person never buys drinks for anyone, like they're really stingy with money or something, but they find themselves like offering you free drinks all night, and they're like, why did I want to do that? Like I never do that. Maybe they compliment your boots or your outfit, and then they think like, since when do I care about fashion? Like I never compliment people's outfits. Or, you know, maybe they find excuses to just hover near you, and then they cringe at themselves for being clingy because they're never normally like that. So it's like you put them under some kind of compulsion, and they might literally think like, what has this person done to me? Like, why am I acting like this? With the Star and the Nine of Pentacles, I love this for you, pal one, because this person is saying about you, even just on a first bloody impression, they're saying like, they're the one I want and nothing else will do. Yeah, this is unreal for the first impression. Like this person, you steal their breath. Like you are breathtaking, you are radiant, you're put together, independent, high value, slightly unreachable as well. They feel maybe slightly out of their league. You have this effortless beauty about you, and it's not just about looks, it's your overarching aura. You really do just shine and you stand out. You know, that Nine of Pentacles, it tells me that they see you as very self-sufficient, very comfortable in your own skin, successful, or you look like you're on your way to success, and somebody who doesn't necessarily need anyone to feel validated. And they're immediately aware. They're saying like, if I want Pal One's attention, I will have to bring something real to the table. It's not a cheap thrill kind of energy with you. You feel like a whole gourmet meal, not a snack. As Doja Cat once said, a candlelit dinner. And for some reason, I guess it's because you picked the Gourmet Tarot, and maybe because we've been talking about pastries, maybe because I'm getting hungry. I'm getting an example about cakes, but it's like if you've ever queued up in a cafe, eyeing up the specific homemade cakes or pastries at the counter. Maybe this just sounds weird. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I do this. Like, I'll look at the little glass thing that the cakes are on, and I'll decide in my head that there's a specific one that I want, even if they're all the same. Like, even if there are 10 others of the exact same flavour, I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, I hope I get this one. Like, this one has 8 chocolate chips that I've counted, and the one next to it only has 4 chocolate chips, so I want the one with 8 or something like that. So you have your heart set on this one, like you're staring at it, ready to order, and then someone in front of you orders it, or the barista picks up the one right next to it instead of the one you actually want. And technically you could have a different one because they all are like the same, really, but you're still low-key a bit salty about it because you had your heart set on that particular one that you've been staring at while you were in the queue. Like, that's how this person feels about you. So they might be, you know, surrounded by other interesting, attractive people. They might be mid-conversation with somebody else. They might be in a dating or a party environment where they have the opportunity to get to know other people, and those people around them are perfectly good. They could have someone beautiful, attractive, interesting talking to them, and their brain is going like, yeah, whatever. Like, that's the cake I want though. Pile 1 is the one I want. I'm not interested in this cake over here. Like, I want pile 1 cake. Everyone else starts to feel kind of boring in comparison, which is, again, you know, not something they're used to. We've got the King of Swords clarified by the Lovers. So the King of Swords is someone who's logical, intellectual, analytical, strategic, composed. And the Lovers can represent soul level attraction, chemistry, choice, that kind of like, I recognize you from somewhere sort of vibe. So this is very much like this person is in this energy where they're like, I'm going to pretend that I'm unaffected while my heart is doing acrobatics. Like, they are sizing you up mentally right from the off. They're looking at you and they're asking, like, who are they? What's their vibe? Are they intelligent? Can they hold a conversation? What kind of standards do they have? Are we compatible? But there's also this deeper pull. There's something that says to them, this feels significant. And then even within that, they're questioning, like, why does this feel so significant? Why do I feel like I've known them before? There's also something where, like, they can recognize that you guys have a sharp sense of humour, or you can keep up with their banter. Like, there's something about back and forth conversations. There's something about, like, sarcasm. They could also notice you have good vocabulary, or you're very articulate in terms of how you express yourself. They notice that you can really keep up with them mentally. Maybe you can even surpass them is something they've noticed. Because the King of Swords traits that I mentioned, the rational, analytical, decisive side, they might recognise these in themselves and in you too. There is this element of, like, they might seem more emotionally detached. You could bring more of a warmth or more empathy, more feeling. But together, it's like you are 2 flavours of the same ice cream, like on the King of Swords card. You know, different but complementary. And this person is thinking when they interact with you, they're like, oh, they get me, like, they can match my banter. This could actually be something. They're also very aware that they don't want to come across as just another thirsty admirer. So when you interact with them, you might notice that they are trying to be witty instead of sleazy. They're trying to, like, have meaningful conversations instead of just shallow flirting. They're trying to actually ask you good questions, and they're trying to show you that they see your mind, not just your body. Even though, like, yes, they do also want to fold you like a pretzel. They're just trying to keep that part a little bit more quiet until, like, you guys get to know each other. And yeah, with that 3 of Pentacles and the Hermit, this is that energy of, like, this could really go somewhere. You know, the 3 of Pentacles is collaboration, building something, teamwork, this acknowledgement of, like, we work well together. The Hermit is introspection, depth, one-on-one energy, them asking, you know, like, what would happen if it was just us? So even from this first meeting, there is this sense in them of, like, yeah, this could really go somewhere. This feels like it's the start of something. This could blossom, if we go back to that blossom card. And if you meet in a group setting, if that's where you first encounter each other, they might notice that, like, you're the person that they keep bouncing jokes off with. Like, you two are the ones building the vibe at the table. Even if other people don't get the joke, you two do. You guys could be like high-fiving, even hyping each other up, keeping that energy going. And they are just sitting there thinking like, oh, we make a really good team. Like, imagine what we could be like one-on-one. But that hermit, that could be the side of them that's wondering like, how do I get more time with pal one alone? Will I see them again? How can I stay in contact? Especially if you're someone who is more introverted or a homebody, someone who rarely goes out. Like, this feels like a one-off event. They're already thinking like, was that my one shot? Will I get another chance? Which again is very like not normal behavior for them. You've got them acting, thinking, and feeling in ways they don't normally allow themselves to, and in a way that kind of shocks them. Pal one. So overall, their first impression of you, they thought you were striking, glowing, smart, and very sharp, high value, and self-possessed. A little bit out of their league, soft but not naive, a little bit intimidating, potentially life-changing as well. You really flipped their perspective. You made them nervous in a way they're not used to. You made them kind of protective. You made them a little bit feral. You made them want to be better. You made them rethink things. And yeah, they're basically like, what is a person like that doing in a place like this? And more importantly, why am I suddenly obsessing over them? Why do I care so much about them? And how did they walk out of here with my peace of mind and dignity without even trying? So that is your person's very first impression of you, pal one. You're this spring breeze that kind of wreaked havoc on their internal weather system. So that is where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. I just want to thank you so much for being here and for spending this time with me. I appreciate you more than you could ever know. Your time, your energy, your presence, it genuinely means the world, and I'm always honoured when you choose to share it with me. If this reading resonated, if it brought you clarity, comfort, entertainment, or even just a little spark of joy, please don't forget to like, comment, hype, share, and subscribe. It truly supports the channel, it helps me keep doing what I love, and it allows me to continue creating these readings for you guys. Every little bit of engagement goes so much further than you might realise, and I am endlessly grateful for it. And thank you again to everyone who wished me a happy birthday recently. I really appreciate that. Your messages honestly make my whole day. I'm sending you all so much love, so much softness, and so much good energy. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, power. Hi Pal2 Collective. If you chose the Cozy Witch Tarot and you chose this little piggy sticker and you chose Pal2, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled The Very First Moment They Saw You, What Really Went Through Their Mind. If you would like the full breakdown of absolutely everything this reading will entail, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking those out so you know what to expect. But if you've come here because you are jumping straight to your pile, just a brief overview of what this reading is. So this is a fun, intuitive deep dive into someone's very first impression of you. So whether it's your current boo, the person you're trying to soft launch on your Instagram stories, or a future connection you haven't even met yet, but who is definitely just minding their business somewhere, completely unaware that they're about to star in this reading. So if you've ever wondered what your current or past person really thought the very first moment they saw you, or if you want to know what your future boo is going to think when you walk into their life to disrupt their peace, this reading is absolutely for you. With that said, let's get started with your reading today. As usual, we're going to be using a mix of oracle cards and tarot cards. I'm going to pop your little piggy to one side so we can get started and jump straight into your chosen pile. Okay, so over here on the left, we have Busy Beaver, motivation, cooperation, efficiency, builder of sturdy and stable structures, teach me your tenacious ways. From the affirmations of fairy cats, we've got winter. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we've got crystal clear. And from the Audacity deck, we've got lovers. From the Past Life Oracle, we've got, oh my god, this came out in the last reading, rebel, nonconformist, activist, revolutionary, anarchist. So you picked, I think it was pile 2 as well in my last reading. If you picked that pile 2, then it's coming up again in this pile 2, and I promise, as usual, this deck was really well shuffled. But yeah, that's just a little bit of extra confirmation if you chose pile 2 in my previous reading, which was a completely different theme, but you are giving the same vibe in this reading. So let's have a look at your tarot. We have got the Nine of Swords. We all get a little bit carried away with our worries sometimes, clarified by the Two of Pentacles in reverse. When life gets chaotic, find a way to get grounded and balanced. We have got the Page of Pentacles, and clarifying the Page of Pentacles, We've got the Ten of Swords, hurt people, and hurt witches, hurt witches. Oh, the little quote on the Page of Pentacles is, when life gives you lemons, make enchanted lemonade. That's really cute. Maybe you're the enchanted lemonade, pal too. We have got the Ace of Wands. Don't you see how your passion makes you glow? You're glowing, pal too. And clarifying that, we have Three of Cups. Come together with your coven. Maybe you have a coven of other rebels. We have got the Page of Wands. Just because you're passionate about it doesn't mean it will be effortless. So maybe somebody being very passionate about you, but knowing they will have to put effort in, that could be relevant. And clarifying that, we have the King of Pentacles. True success isn't just about money, it's about happiness too. Okay, so a little bit of a funny confirmation for you guys. As soon as I saw that Busy Beaver card, I was actually at the cinema recently and an advert came on about beavers. At our local cinema, they do tend to play a lot of adverts that are about like conserving nature and conserving wildlife, and this particular advert was about beavers. And obviously, you know, when the ads are playing, you're not really listening. I was only sort of half listening, and also I was like stuffing my face with popcorn as well, so I couldn't really hear properly over the sound of myself chewing, because if you're anything like me, you eat your whole bucket of popcorn before the film even comes on. But also, I'm somebody who always has the subtitles on. Like, I put them on absolutely everything that I watch. Do you know that meme? I think it's of Velma from Scooby-Doo, the one where she's like, my glasses, I can't see without my glasses. But there's one that's like, my subtitles, I can't hear without my subtitles. That is me. But obviously when you go to the cinema, they don't usually just have the subtitles on, and you usually don't need them because the sound quality is usually really good. But anyway, sometimes I feel like I can't hear anything when I'm just watching a normal show, so I always put subtitles on. But yeah, anyway, long story short, there was this advert about beavers, and there was a man narrating this advert, and for some reason, I thought he said something like, beavers are building weapons. And I said to my partner, like, did he just say that beavers are building weapons? Like, since when? Like, I was like, surely you'd think that, you know, if beavers are building these weapons, then maybe the government would like make more effort to conserve their habitats and stuff, because that could be, I guess, really useful for them. And he said, nosy witch, like, they said wetlands, not weapons. So I don't know why, like, that just made me laugh. But yeah, there could be something about you guys maybe like always having subtitles on, or always going like, what? Or like, huh? Or like mishearing things in a funny way. Maybe that's something this person has noticed about you. So yeah, that was just a really random message coming through. I'm only mentioning it because it was specifically about beavers. But yeah, on to the reading now. My random stories aside. Okay, so this is really, really interesting because, like I said, we actually pulled this Rebel card in the last reading, also for Pile 2. So if you picked Pile 2 in that previous reading and you've somehow wandered your way into Pile 2 again, hi bestie. Obviously the context is different here. You know, this is this person's first impression of you, not some big, like, who you are in the grand scheme of things sort of reading. But the Rebel coming out, again, just fits so perfectly because immediately this person's first impression of you is like, they walk to the beat of their own drum, like they are not like everyone else. One of the very first things I think they admire about you, and one of the things that draws them in, is that you don't seem to be afraid to show up as your authentic self, is something that I'm getting. And even if you feel like Pal 2, because obviously this is this person's impression of you, so even if you're like, oh, that's cute, but actually I feel like I have to mask all the time, like at a job or wherever, they can still sense this underlying feeling of you, the authentic you, like the things you can't hide. And they also get this sense of like you're wired a little bit different, but they like it. Okay, they really like this about you. Sometimes you guys, if you resonate with this, you could sometimes feel like you're an alien and it's your first day on Earth. And I feel like this person can tell that there's only so much of you that you can kind of hide or hold back. Like, even when you try and water yourself down, which I'm not saying you do, because some of you don't, and some of you are very, like, not only accepting of who you are, but you're like, it is exhausting me too much to mask, so I'm not doing it anymore. But we're all at different stages, right? And sometimes, like, to live in society and to get by, we have to mask in, like, the corporate world, for instance, or something like that. So I guess it depends on what you do or what you have to do to survive. But even with that, there's just, like, too much you. It's overflowing. You are a very, like, big personality without even it being an intentional thing. I'm getting big Uranus. Maybe some of you have big butts and this person notices that. Only take that if it resonates. But I'm getting big Uranus/Aquarius energy here for some of you. It won't apply to everyone, but it's very much like an out-of-the-box, experimental, eccentric, I'm not here to fit your template sort of vibe. Maybe you have had to mask to survive, like in jobs, in school, with your family, in society generally. Maybe you have bent yourself to certain rules just so that you can function, but your true self still leaks through everything you do. Like, you have this signature brand or flavour of you stamped on everything, and it shows through in how you talk, how you dress, how you move, how you organise things, even like how you eat, how you laugh. And this person's first impression is very much like, they're not from here. They're like an alien on their first day of Earth, but it's in a good way. I just want to clarify that. Other people might watch you. You might have noticed like you're some kind of phenomenon, like they're looking at you, like trying to figure out why you're doing something a certain way. And honestly, you might even feel like that sometimes, like, why does everyone act like I'm weird just for existing? But to this person, that's exactly what is interesting, that's what pulls them in. It's the way you look exactly like yourself that they find really intriguing and enchanting. So one of the first places they might notice this rebel energy is in your appearance. You know, this can show up in many, many different ways, and you'll know which of these examples might be for you, but some examples that are coming through are like, you might have a more alternative or non-conforming kind of style. You could have piercings or tattoos that stand out. You could have outfits that look thrifted, curated, or like one of a kind, not off a generic rack. You could do your makeup in a way that is more elaborate, you know, not just like clean girl aesthetic, which there's nothing wrong with, that looks beautiful, but you might go more bold or arty or unusual or experimental when you can. I'm thinking like big liner, big lashes, interesting eyeshadow colours, something like that, a bold lip, a dark lip even. You know, you could have interesting hair. I'm thinking dreads, one side shaved, a mohawk. You could experiment with different wigs, colourful dye, big curls or coils worn proudly in their natural glory, things like that. Some of you are literally giving like goth baddie energy, I'm not gonna lie, big titty goth GFs if you will. Others of you might be more cyberpunk, futuristic, edgy. Some of you could have statement chokers, interesting collars, metal accessories, harness belts or corset belts. I'm also seeing like big earrings, statement pieces, maybe with random objects on them. I'm literally seeing those earrings. I don't know where I've seen them. I'm not saying this is exactly you, and I don't know whether you've seen these before, but you know those earrings with like the baby heads on them? I'm not saying it has to be exactly that, but it's something a bit like arty, or like, oh, you don't see that every day. And this person notices that, or they're like, oh, that's weird, but it's in a very cool, like, I want to know where you got that from kind of way. You could get people asking you where you got certain things from a lot. Some of you could dress like you're from a different decade, like 60s or 70s, very boho, very hippie, witchy, Stevie Nicks kind of vibes. Some of you could dress vintage, or in like just a particular style that you don't see all the time. Or like, even if you do dress a bit more conventional because you want to or because you have to, it's like you add your signature flair to it. So even if you're wearing like your corporate work uniform that you're forced to wear, it's like you have these statement earrings or this necklace, or just there's something about you that you do to kind of spice it up, and that's something that they notice. Some of you could have mobility aids, like a wheelchair or a cane, and you decorate your wheelchair or your cane, you customize it, you cover it with stickers, you make it cute and personal. This person definitely clocks that if that's the case. There's also something about your waist. Maybe you draw attention to your waist or your hips in the way you style yourself. Some of you could have like a bigger lower half, like bigger hips. It's in a way that looks very schmexy though. Some of you could wear a lot of cardigans, or you could wear dungarees, and this person notices that, but there's something a little bit like unique about it. It could just be that this person notices you don't follow some kind of convention. So, you know, if it's not one of the things I mentioned, it could be like if you're a femme presenting person choosing to not wear makeup or choosing to not subscribe to certain social norms to fit in. It's whatever it means to you. Those are just some examples. They're not meant to like box you in. But I do want to say, for those of you where like the appearance thing doesn't apply so much, I think this is just in the way you are, and it could relate to like these weird little habits and quirks that you have. It's the way that you do little things. So for some of you, you know, this could be noticing that you have to eat your food in a specific order. Like if you had sausage, chips and beans, let's say, you're like, oh, I have to eat my beans first and then my chips and then my sausage or something like that, something really random. Or you have a specific way of holding things or fidgeting with your hands or your legs. You could have a very distinct way of speaking, your vocal tone, your cadence, or certain slang or vocabulary that you use. It just sounds a bit like different. You have a very particular laugh maybe, or even the way you sneeze. It's just very you, and I think this person finds it very cute. These might be things that you've always chalked up to like just my weird little quirks, my habits, but this person notices them and they find them endearing, not off-putting in any way. I do also want to mention, because it is coming through, about potential neurodivergence, and I'm saying this with full love and respect. I am a neurodivergent person myself, and I don't want to dismiss what can be a very disabling thing to like just quirky little traits, because I understand that in certain circles neurodivergence is maybe being romanticized in a way that it shouldn't be. And I don't mean from like other neurodivergent people. You know, when people want to refer to themselves as like neurospicy or something like that, I know some people have a problem with that because they feel like it kind of undermines and dismisses what, can be very disabling. But I don't personally mind when someone who is neurodivergent wants to refer to themselves as that, because maybe it helps them sort of process that or relate to it better. And people view their neurodivergence in different ways. Some people do like to view it as a superpower or something that makes them different. Other people say, you know, they wish they weren't and that it's had a really negative impact on their life. And some people, and I would say I fall in this camp, I'm a little bit of both. Like, I can see some ways that my neurodivergence makes me unique, but I can also look back at times that I have really struggled and it has had a negative impact on my life. So I think it's a little bit of both. But anyway, going off on a tangent here, I'm not really mad at like people referring to themselves that way if it's something they deal with. But I do know, I've seen like that allegedly neurotypical people have been put in on their dating profile, like, oh, I'm looking for a girl who's a little bit autistic, and that is a little bit icky. Like, it just comes across as very repackaged manic pixie dream girl sort of vibe. So I am not trying to do that, and I'm not trying to make you feel that way. And I don't think that is this situation. Like, this person looking at you and thinking like, oh, wouldn't it be cute to have a slightly autistic girlfriend or boyfriend, like you're a pet or something. I think it's more like real recognizes real. Like, they could also be neurodivergent, perhaps in a different way with different manifestations, but it's like they see these things in you and they notice them quite quickly. So some of you could stim with your hands or your feet. Some of you guys could fidget a lot. You could carry a fidget toy with you. Some of you could blink more. Some of you could zone out and stare into space. Some of you could have certain little vocalisms or sounds that you make, or repetitive gestures that you use when you're excited or you're stressed. And some of you, like, you might be a little bit uncomfortable by that, because depending on like lots of different things, especially if you were like shamed for some of these behaviors growing up and you tried really hard to mask and be normal, I know it can be uncomfortable to have somebody notice these things if they do apply. But I just want to make it very clear, this person is not noticing these things in like a mocking, predatory, fetishy sort of way. They're not doing that. It's more like they clock it because they're like, oh, is that a stim? Like, I stim as well. Or they fidget a lot just like I do. Or they have their own little coping mechanisms, and I recognize that. So for some of you, you know, like we say, this person might be neurodivergent as well, or at least relate to that experience of feeling like a little bit weird or too much, or just not built for this system in some way. It's very real, recognizes real. They're not pointing fingers like, oh, you're being so weird. It's more like, oh, they're like me. I kind of feel at home with that in some way. And yeah, this person's first impression of you is very rebel, revolutionary, activist coded. And again, like, this is just their impression. I'm not saying you have to be literally chaining yourself to government buildings, but your energy gives very much like you will be the kind of person to say like, F the system. Or you look opinionated, your energy screams like, I have opinions, I will speak up about injustices, I'm not going to play nice with oppressive systems. And they sense that within you pretty quickly, like that spark, that passion. They sense that you're probably someone who is very passionate about your beliefs, you stick up for yourself, you advocate for others, you're not easily intimidated, and you're also not a follower. They think that you're a trendsetter. And this is the core point, like, even if society in some ways would label some parts of you as being vulnerable, like neurodivergence, disability, queerness, being from a marginalized group, you do not carry yourself at all like a victim. Your aura says, like, yes, the system is trash, and I'm still here, and I still care, and I'm still fighting. There's a very fiery, raw, alive energy under your skin. Aries energy, Mars energy could be relevant. Maybe some of you guys have a very prominent Mars placement, could even be in your first house. Maybe some of you are Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and that comes through. It's like even when you're completely silent, they can feel that spark coming off of you. And you know, this person's inner monologue as well as they witness that, they're kind of like, oh, like this person is absolutely my kind of person. And whereas like you might have had certain people make judgments about your appearance and that's made them standoffish, I feel like this person feels safer around you because of it. Like some people are freaked out, for instance, by people who have a lot of tattoos or dark lipstick because they think it's like demonic, or they just make a lot of unfounded judgments. But I would always feel much safer next to a punk looking or like big titty goth baddie person than somebody like a middle-aged man in a business suit. Do you know what I mean? And maybe that's a judgment too, right? But I'm just saying, like, they like the things that sometimes you have felt people ostracized you for in the past. So that might be a thing. They're like, yeah, this person is my tribe. Like, I would feel safer with them than I would with Mr. Middle-aged in a business suit over there, sort of thing. Could that be a little bit stereotypical? Yes. Is it also based on lived experience? Also, yes. They're not judging you in a bad way. It's more like positive recognition. At the same time, though, they are also a little bit intimidated because you feel like someone who will call people out, who doesn't suffer fools, and is not here for nonsense. And that kind of brings me to that winter energy that's coming through. Their first impression also includes, it's weird because there's a lot of like heat and passion and fieriness and like fire energy, and we were getting that airy sort of energy, but there's also this kind of like cool, composed, icy surface. It's not cold as in like mean or rude. It's more like, oh, they are a little bit mysterious. They are self-contained. They have walls, and those walls are well built. Like, they're not necessarily someone who just lets people in easily. So some of you guys, you could have a resting witch face. You could look serious or stern when you're just existing. You could come across as a little bit distant or a little bit hard to read. You could look like someone who is not easily impressed. There's very much a stillness to you. There's this aura you give off where you're like, I'm watching everything, but your face isn't giving much away. I do think they see you as quite elegant, quite thoughtful, but yeah, a little bit intimidating and potentially someone who has been through things, but you're not broadcasting your whole emotional landscape on your face. They can feel that there are a lot of layers, but you're not really giving them a play-by-play. And here's where sometimes they start to overthink, because I think right from the off, from that first impression, this person is overthinking a little bit when it comes to you. With that Nine of Swords and with the Two of Pentacles in reverse, this person is very much asking after that first meeting. They're like, do they even like me? That's what they're wondering about when it comes to you. So this person, after you guys meet, they could be overthinking, juggling a lot of emotions, feeling a little bit off balance, concerned about saying the right thing, being a little bit in their head around you, and yeah, afterwards thinking like, oh, do they like me? Am I bothering them? Did I say something weird? Why am I suddenly nervous? And I think it's because you give like a very, I don't want to say unbothered, but like unreadable energy on the outside, and they're over there sort of internally spiraling. Your eye contact, something about your eye contact in particular might really do this person in. You might have very intense eye contact, like the 10-yard stare. It might feel like you have eyes that look like they're piercing straight into someone's soul, or you just have that really clear, focused look when you're listening. And I'm imagining this specific scenario. It's like they're trying to tell a joke or say something a little bit flirty, and you're just looking at them. You're just staring at them like silently, not with the intention of being intimidating or making them feel a certain way. It's just like you're processing, I suppose. You're actually listening and you're taking them seriously, but your face isn't doing the whole mask of like, oh my god, haha thing yet. And they're like thinking as they're telling the story, oh my god, do they hate me? I really can't tell, like, am I being annoying? Why am I even saying this? And then later in bed, they're kind of replaying it like, why did I phrase it like that? why am I like this? They also feel like they are very read by you. They're saying that they can read me, but I cannot read them. So they could feel like you see straight through them, but they can't really tell what you're thinking at all. And that kind of stresses them out. But I think it also turns them on a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. There's definitely something where, like, even if you're not saying too much at first, they can feel this heat under the surface. That Ace of Wands with that Rebel card and with Crystal Clear, it says like you have a passion even if you keep it under wraps. You have very strong beliefs and a clear mind, and your aura feels hot even if your face looks cool and composed, and they are very drawn to that combination. You're kind of giving like Ice Queen on the outside but volcano underneath, and apparently that's this person's kink. And with that Busy Beaver card, I think this person also clocks that you come across as somebody who is hardworking and dedicated. It feels like, at least when they encounter you, this first impression, there's something about you always looking busy. Like you're not just sitting around looking pretty. You give the impression of somebody who has places to go. Maybe you're very much like always in the zone. You come across as somebody who is actively building something, or like you have at least one big area of your life where you are very efficient and competent, and you give off this aura of like, I'm just here to get the job done and I have things to do today, like I have things to be getting on with. So there could be something about like at the time they meet you, you are juggling a lot of different things, and that could play into a kind of hesitancy to approach you, because I think they think like, oh, they always look so busy, I don't want to annoy them. So this could play out in a few different ways. This could be a workplace connection. You could be on shift, run off your feet, dealing with 5,000 things at once, trying to multitask. They might be a co-worker or even a customer, and they're thinking like, is it inappropriate to ask for their number, or are they just being nice to me because this is their job? Like, is that the only reason they will communicate with me? Or this could be like at the gym, you could be mid-workout, you could be in your zone, sweating, focused, and they keep thinking like, oh, I'll wait till they're free and then I'll go and talk to them between sets. But every time they look, you are deep in another set again and they don't want to bother you. This could be in a social setting as well with that Three of Cups. You could be out with friends, laughing, deep in conversation, telling stories, and they're thinking like, would it be rude if I interrupted that? They might be thinking like, will pal 2 just say like, why are you talking to me? Like, I'm with my friends, go away. You very much give like this energy to them, at least, where you're like, if you're going to interrupt me, you better have a point. Like, you're not there for endless small talk just for the sake of it, and I think they sense that, which makes them a little bit scared of doing the whole like, hey, so what do you do? I think they're trying to figure out how to like insert themselves into a conversation with you without it being weird. And yeah, with that Crystal Clear, I think they definitely think that you see straight through people, you see straight through bullshit. They're saying that you're not someone they can feed a line to. You come across as immediately clear-headed, very aware of social dynamics, definitely someone who doesn't waste time with vague nonsense. I think this person acknowledges like, I need to act right. I can't show up sort of half-baked with this person. Your eyes especially, I'm getting some of you could have very piercing, like bright blue eyes, but even if they're not blue, they feel very clear and cutting. There's an iciness about them, but there's a lot going on underneath it too. Yeah, your gaze, something about your gaze being a bit icy at first. Your eyes say like, I see you, I know what you're doing. They might notice the way you zone out and stare into space when you're processing. They might notice how you can look a million miles away one moment and then laser sharp the next. They might notice that you are a daydreamer and you are sometimes lost in your head, but you can easily like snap back to reality, something like that. They can relate to this too. I think they know what it's like to mentally disappear. They're also definitely noticing your body language, especially your hips, that keeps coming through, your lower back, how you walk, the way you might sway. You are very magnetic when you're in motion is something that I'm getting. Maybe they see you dancing, or they just like seeing you walk away. We mentioned your butt earlier, so maybe that has something to do with it, pal too, who knows. With the Page of Pentacles and the Ten of Swords, there is this sense of like, they have been through it, is what I'm hearing. They do pick up that you have been through something. They might not know the details, obviously, but they do have this impression of like, this seems like someone who has been hurt. This seems like somebody who has had big endings. This seems like somebody who has had to rebuild, or somebody who is cautious for a reason. Because you could have a little bit of a guarded vibe, like a don't talk to me vibe at first, an FU vibe at first, but you also give off like very much fresh start energy. You give off this vibe of like you're ready for a new cycle, you don't want to repeat old ones. It doesn't read like victimhood, it reads like I have died before and I'm not dying like that again. And they admire that. They see you as someone who's learning, who's growing, who's improving, and not entertaining nonsense. With the Ace of Wands and the Three of Cups, they notice that there's this instant spark. Like, despite the iciness, there's this social warmth underneath it, and there's something about you lighting them up. I think definitely immediately they're like physically attracted to you, very physically attracted to you. They're like, Paltu is my type. They are also sort of very energetically hyped around you, and I'm getting something like emotionally uplifted by your presence. And despite this like icy exterior, which they may have to push past, it's like you could be looking at them and they don't know which direction it's going to go in. Like, they're telling a joke and they can't read past your eyes, and they're thinking like, oh my god, does Paltu hate me? Like, they're looking at me like they could either love me or hate. Like, I have no idea, basically. Like, I have no idea what they're thinking right now. And then you might crack up into the most beautiful laugh. Like, you can go from this very like sort of sharp 10-yard stare to like this beautiful warm smile, like full of bright teeth and dimples or something like that. And it's just beautiful to witness. They could notice when you do open up, you have a great laugh, a really good sense of humour, a very easy and fun vibe. You might have friends who hype you up and love to laugh loudly with you. You could also have like main character storyteller kind of energy. They might notice you're that person who tells a story and everyone's hanging on the next sentence. I think they quickly realise they love listening to you, they love seeing you light up, they even love hearing you go on tangents. So even if you're like, I don't know what context this would be, but like if they overhear you complaining about something to somebody, it kind of turns them on when you get fired up, especially if it's about like politics or injustice or a rude customer or some idiot from your past. They love the passion behind it. You know, you're not apathetic, and that is rare. I'm also getting a lot of candle imagery here, so you might burn a lot of candles or incense. You might smell kind of like a candle shop. I'm getting like warm, cozy vanilla scents or something a little bit spicy, something sweet. They might actually picture taking you to a candlelit dinner, or maybe they literally see you with a lighter or a vape. There's something about little sparks, little flames, tiny rituals. There's also this static kind of electric feeling, like they get little shocks when they're near you. You feel like electricity to them in human form. They quickly notice the electricity between you guys. With the Page of Wands and the King of Pentacles, they're kind of giving me like flustered golden retriever energy. This is actually such a funny combination. It's like they're saying that you come across immediately as kind of like youthful and curious and playful and creative, but also like deeply grounded and centered in yourself and kind of about your business with that King of Pentacles energy. And around you, they kind of feel like they regress into shy teenager mode, even if normally they are naturally very much like King of Pentacles themselves. They're sort of stable or practical or a provider or like quite solid and confident. They might notice around you they get a little bit giddy or they get hot and bothered. They might feel like a kid with a crush in high school, or, you know, they overthink their jokes and then they bail halfway through, or they forget their punchlines because your eye contact derails them. It's very much like sort of opposites, like you give black cat and they give golden retriever. It doesn't have to be gendered or like hetero or anything like that. I know there's that stereotype of like black cat girlfriend and golden retriever boyfriend. It doesn't have to be gendered, but I am getting that vibe, just energetic polarity here. And you being the black cat, it's like they see you as very sleek and independent and mysterious, slightly offended by everything, but also secretly affectionate. And they're the golden retriever. They're eager to please, they're loyal, they're a little bit goofy, but they're just happy to be in your presence. They definitely, straight from the off, they admire your boldness. They wish they could be as unapologetic as you. They kind of sometimes feel like, even on like a first impression, you guys slip into the role of like them being your sidekick or your apprentice, but there is this element where they want to step up and be like the King of Pentacles for you. They want to be like a reliable, steady presence in your life, but then it's kind of like their inner Page of Wands is just screaming and tripping over their words and just this excitable like golden retriever puppy. but you do really activate that sort of provider and protector part of them. But they also kind of feel like, oh, why am I suddenly like acting like a wet lettuce? Like, why am I shaking like a little school kid? I definitely think that even after that very first meeting, I think this person is experiencing some sleepless nights over you, which kind of sounds dramatic, but like, you really do disrupt their peace in the best way, pal, too. Like, after meeting you, they are thinking of absolutely everything they said and replaying conversations in their head. They are fantasizing as well about being closer to you, I think. Like, how they could fit into your life is something I'm getting. Like, maybe if they don't speak to you that much at that first meeting, if they're more just watching you, like how they would fit in. Basically, they're thinking of like potential conversations, potential lead-ins. They're wondering how to approach you maybe more confidently next time. They're maybe wondering if you thought they were weird or awkward. I definitely think there is an element of like at the very least noticing each other on this first impression. Well, obviously they've noticed you because that's the point of the reading, but I think like you have noticed them too. I'm hearing that is it an Akon song where he's like, notice you noticing me from across the room or something like that. So at the very least, like if you guys didn't have a conversation, which some of you did, but at the very least there was like strong eye contact, and you kind of make them feel like they know that you have noticed them noticing you. I'm getting confused. Yeah, they notice you noticing them noticing you. Yeah. Okay, I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm having brain fog right now. But yeah, around you, yeah, they could kind of get that, like brain fog, like, oh my god, I forgot what I was saying. You could notice that they just forget what they were saying when they talk to you, or they seem distracted. They could feel very exposed, fumbly, seen, but also very turned on as well with that Ace of Wands. You might catch them staring at you during that first impression and they're like, abort mission, look away, pretend nothing happened. Meanwhile, later that night, they're just laid flat on their bed and they're like, why didn't I say something? If they didn't, or if they did say something, they're like, why did I say it like that? Why didn't I just flirt properly? And more importantly, why am I obsessed with this person that I barely even know? Why do I want to be near them that bad? So in a nutshell, pal two, their first impression of you, they saw you as elegant, cool, and mysterious, but they also pegged you as someone with an internal fire, somebody very rebellious, somebody passionate and magnetic. They saw you as a builder, someone who's always busy, somebody who's always got places to be and things on. They saw you as somebody clear-minded, sharp, someone who sees through bullshit. They did feel that instant sort of fated pull towards you. They saw you as someone who makes them overthink and kind of question themselves. And they saw you as physically attractive. Like, they knew they shouldn't keep looking, but they couldn't stop. And then definitely, like, once you guys talk more and once you warm up, definitely they view you as, like, way more fun and funny and charming than what you might initially appear. I think they see you as somebody who has a very close bond with your friends. They see you as a whole package, really. Like, there's a youthful spark with, like, mature stability. And their inner voice when they first met you, they were basically saying, like, and these are things they might even, like, tell their friends, like, after they first saw you. They were like, oh, this person is different. But also, like, I need to impress them. Maybe I need to behave. Almost that thing of, like, they feel they have to show up to you respectfully. And also, like, why am I so nervous? Or why do I suddenly feel like I have to level up my entire life? So you're definitely a rebel. Winter could be significant too. Maybe you met this person in winter. Maybe you're going to meet them in winter. You're definitely that black cat that makes the golden retriever stutter a little bit. You're the person who walks in the room and makes this person think, oh, they're exactly my kind of trouble. Like, pal 2 is a problem that I want. So that is what I'm getting for your reading, pal 2, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. I just want to thank you so much for being here and for spending this time with me. I appreciate you more than you know. Your time, your energy, your presence, it genuinely means the world to me, and I'm always so honoured when you choose to share it with me. If this reading in any tiny way resonated, brought you clarity, comfort, entertainment, or even just a little bit of the spark of joy, please don't forget to like, comment, hype, share, and subscribe. It truly supports the channel, it helps me keep doing what I love, and it just allows me to continue creating these readings for you. Every little bit of engagement goes so much further than you might realise, and I'm endlessly grateful for it. Also, thank you again to everyone who wished me a happy birthday recently. Your messages honestly made my whole day. I'm sending you all so much love and softness and good energy. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, pal 2. Hi Pile 3 Collective! If you chose the Inspired Neon Tarot and you chose this little shoe sticker and you chose Pile 3, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. If you would like a full breakdown of everything this reading will entail, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking one of those out so you know what to expect going into this reading today. But in terms of just a very brief overview before we get started, this is a fun, intuitive deep dive into someone's very first impression of you. So whether that's your current boo, the person you're trying to soft launch on your Instagram stories, or a future connection you haven't even met yet, who is definitely just out there minding their own business somewhere, completely unaware that they're about to star in this reading, this one's for you. If you've ever wondered what your current person really thought the very first moment they saw you, or if you want to know what your future boo is going to think when you walk into their life to disrupt their peace, this reading is absolutely for you. We're going to be using a mix of oracle cards and tarot cards today, and without hesitation, let's get started. I'm just going to pop your little shoe sticker to one side for now so we can focus on these cards. Oh, by the way, don't tell the other piles, but you got 2 past life oracle cards. So I'm not saying that you're the favourite, pile 3, but wink wink. I'm just kidding, I don't have favourites, but if I did, might be you. Okay, so starting here on the left from the Wild Whispers Oracle, we have got Warrior, Wolf, Intelligent, Instinct, Protection, Fierce Hunter and Protector, Be the Guardian and Guide of My Journey. From the Affirmations of Fairy Cats, we've got Depth. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got The Day You Plant the Seed. And from the Audacity deck, we have got the Chicken Nugget. From the Past Lives Oracle, your first card is Diet, Gluttony, Vegetarianism, Fasting or Deprivation, Nutritional or Food Issues. And your other one is Rural Living, Farmer, Woodsman, Hunter, Peasant. And let's have a look at your tarot cards. So starting off over here, we have the Lovers. Okay, starting off strong, pile 3. Clarifying the Lovers, we have got the Knight of Pentacles, beautiful. We have got the Ace of Cups, that is gorgeous. Clarifying the Ace of Cups, we've got Judgment. We got Judgment in another pile today, it might have been pile 1, big energy. We have got the Two of Swords, and clarifying the Two of Swords, we have got the Emperor, nice. And we have got the Two of Cups. And clarifying the Two of Cups, we've got the Three of Wands. Okay, beautiful. Congratulations on being God's favourite. First of all, I just want to thank you guys for choosing this deck because my bestie actually got me this deck for my birthday. She did pick it herself. I haven't seen it ever before, and honestly, she did such a good job because I said to her it must have been so hard for her to figure out which decks I already own because, I mean, she does watch the channel, but I have a lot. But she was saying, like, I think the colours are really going to pop in your videos. And I agree, this deck is beautiful. And these cards for you are just so stunning. I've been really excited to use this one. And I can already just feel the energy and the excitement from it, especially for a love reading. So thank you for choosing this pile. Also, yeah, don't tell the other piles, but you did get that extra card. So you were definitely an extra important pile today. Right off the bat, and you guys know that I'm probably going to have to do another disclaimer when I say this. Okay, I'll just get on with it. Dare I say it? There's a lot of soulmate, twin flame coded vibes here. I don't throw those words lightly around as a reader. And of course, please use your own discernment. We all believe different things when it comes to that. And I don't ever want to encourage a full-time delusion. A little bit of delusion, that's okay. I'm a firm believer in like a solid 25% delulu because sometimes you do have to be a little bit delusional until the delulu comes true. But I also feel like it's my responsibility here to remind you that things like limerence, that is very real, you know. Sometimes the hot stranger who stares directly into your soul on the train is your soulmate, and sometimes he literally has not seen you and he is just zoning out thinking about what he's going to have for dinner on his boring commute home, okay? Like, 1 foot in the 5D, 1 foot in the 3D. Just bear that in mind. I'm not saying that to be mean. and I know you guys know this. I'm just reminding you because I think it would be a disservice if I didn't. I wouldn't feel right about it. And I'm saying it because your time is precious. You know, I never want you pouring all of your energy into a fantasy when the reality is not matching up. Yes, there are situations where most of the connection is happening in the 5D before it does in the 3D. You know, there's tension, there's eye contact, there's dream synchronicities, shy behaviour, both people feeling it but no one saying anything. That does happen. And I fully believe in the unseen. I fully believe in those moments of like, I just know. But I do always want to remind you, like, to just be real with yourself more than anything. Like, your soulmate, your twin flame, your divine partner is not the person who is routinely mistreating you, lying, cheating, ignoring you, stringing you along, or keeping you stuck in a trauma loop. If the universe has a greater purpose tied to your connection, that purpose is not keeping you in repeated traumas so that you never grow. If someone's hurting you, they are not your safe place. And even if they are a soulmate to you in some technical sense, that doesn't mean you're meant to stay if it's stunting your growth or safety. And if a tarot reader ever tells you that you have to stay in a painful situation because that's your twin flame, you can't give up on them, at best, they're grifting and full of nonsense. And at worst, they are being actively harmful, and in my opinion, they do not deserve a platform in this space. I will never tell you that you have to be with someone no matter what. All of that said, okay, disclaimer out of the way, okay, that's done. All of that said, these cards are unignorable. With the Lovers, the Ace of Cups, the Two of Cups, Judgment, Depth, the day you plant the seed, this is very much giving, like, even from a first impression, this person can tell, like, oh, this is not just a casual connection. This is something. It's something from the very beginning, you know, and from that very beginning, there's this feeling of like nobody else is in the room. That's what I'm getting. So you could be in a crowded bar, a noisy club, a rave, a busy restaurant, but energetically, it's like the surroundings kind of go dark and the two of you are in full colour, neon highlighted. I'm seeing, do you remember those like glow stick bracelets that they used to give out in clubs? The fluorescent ones that you could snap on your wrist and they'd light up in the dark. That could be relevant for somebody here, but I'm seeing two people wearing those. I'm also hearing Fluorescent Adolescent by the Arctic Monkeys. So that song, that band, that era, or even the music playing when you meet could be a confirmation for some of you guys. But yeah, I'm seeing like this feeling of being in a dark room and there might be like 200 people, but in their perception, you are the only one. Like, you are the neon bracelet that matches theirs. You know, maybe nobody else's colour matches theirs, but yours do. And you just sort of like lock onto each other in a crowded space. You just find one another and you stay focused. So even from that very first glance, there is this spark of recognition. You might literally say to each other that cliche line, like, have we met before? They might say that to you and you might roll your eyes and think like, okay, smooth line. But I actually don't think they're lying. I think this person genuinely gets this weird deja vu with you. It's that energy of like, we have done this before. Maybe not here, maybe not like this, but somewhere, sometime we've sat across from each other like this. I don't know why, but I can't remember whose video it was, but I always talk about like, I don't have TikTok, but I watch TikTok compilations on YouTube, like years after they've come out. I'm very behind on everything, but I watch a lot of compilations put together by Loie Lane, and there's a few other people that I watch, but she's the most prominent one that I can think of off the top of my head. And she'll like do these compilations of like glitch in the matrix stories and things like that that people have tagged her in on TikTok. And there was this one story, I'm not quoting it directly, but this woman had talked about how she'd bumped into this total stranger somewhere, and both of them, without ever having met each other before, they had this overwhelming urge to like go over to each other and hug each other and just like cry. And they both at the time assumed like, well, they must know each other from somewhere, and they were trying to think, and they had never ever met in this life. Like, they had never met in this life, but this urge was like inexplicable. I don't know the validity or the truth of these stories, I just enjoy listening to them. But all of that is to say, this is kind of like the same vibe I'm getting with this. There's this like inexplicable pull, like we have known each other before, or I don't know, there's something a little bit spooky about it. But yeah, these two people who had never met in this life had the urge to go up to each other and embrace like they were reuniting, and both of them felt this. It wasn't like one person being delusional or one person thinking they knew someone. And then when they sat down and talked about it, they could not fathom why this was the case. They could not work out where they'd met before. And yeah, it's that kind of vibe. Like, and again, it's not delusion. It's like both people feel in this way. But yeah, with depth, one of the first impressions of you that this person has is that you are not a small talk person, or at the very least, small talk is not where you tend to live. You might be polite and functional with it, but your natural habitat is like the deep end of things. And this person can tell extremely quickly that you're someone who doesn't necessarily care about 15 minutes of like, oh, so how's work? So what do you do? So the weather, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't really want to sit there dissecting office politics. It's like they view you as someone who would much rather get straight into it and talk about like the mysteries of the universe, what you learned in therapy, or why you think you incarnated on Earth in the first place, something like that. So instead of this very stiff sort of like, oh, so tell me about what you do, I can see the conversation between you guys veering very quickly into stuff like, oh, do you know your moon sign? Or how do you think the full moon affects you? Or I've just realised I've been emotionally unavailable because of XYZ thing that happened in my childhood. You know, not necessarily that exact example, but that kind of vibe where you're immediately dissecting psychologies and talking about like attachment styles, trauma patterns, belief systems, spiritual awakenings, past life feelings, like all the stuff other people might save for year 3 of therapy, you two are casually just tossing out on day 1. And the thing is like neither of you flinches. That's the important bit. In a way, it almost feels more casual than what it is, because you don't pull away. You're not like, oh, I've overshared, and they don't pull away like, whoa, that's way too much. You're both kind of looking at each other like, yeah, you know, I get it. I've been through that too. So their first impression of you is very much like they're deep, you know, ocean deep. They're not shallow, they're not basic. I could talk to this person for hours is what they notice, like straight away. With that warrior wolf card showing up with depth as well, they can feel that as much as you're like emotionally rich and very, very layered, you also have this protector streak. You know, you read the room, you can read people's intentions. You're probably the type of person who can sit quietly observing for a while and then basically drop a sentence that tells everyone that you've clocked everything. You give this vibe of like, I'll protect my people, but I will burn your house down if you cross them. This makes you feel both safe and a little bit dangerous in the best way. You feel like someone that they would want to sit next to at a house party, and also the person they would want walking them home later. There is something very sort of, why do I want to say big dog, pack leader, big dog energy about you. Even if you're really soft-spoken, they can tell there is a wolf in there. Warrior wolf is literally like having a sharp instinct, protection, intelligence. They know very quickly you're not naive. You might be kind, you might be very loving, but you are not easy to fool. And I think that's something they pick up on very, very quickly. Now let's talk about the day you plant the seed. Let's talk about this card. This card describes the vibe of just like meeting perfectly. You know, from the very beginning, there's this sense of, I think both of you saying, but definitely, you know, this person saying, because this is about their perspective, they're saying, I'm going to remember this day. Like, and they're also saying this feels like the start of something. You know, it doesn't feel like a random one-off interaction. Even if you only speak for a short time, it leaves a print, it leaves a mark on this person. You know those people you meet and immediately forget? This is not that. This is the type of meeting you look back on later, like, that was the day. Like, that was the day the seed got planted. We didn't know yet what it was going to grow into, but that was like the first sprout. They get this strange sensation that you are meant to be in their life somehow. And for some of you, it doesn't even have to start off obviously romantic. It could be a friendship, a work connection, or just this extremely fated feeling kind of chat that you guys have. But even in those instances, their first impression is like, no, you know, this is going to be something. I just know it. Like, we were meant to meet for a reason. We were brought together for a reason here. And you guys, you have very Two of Cups, Lovers, also like 7 or 8 of Pentacles vibes, energy together. It's very slow building, I would say, very investment based. They don't see you as a fling. They see you immediately as someone they would put effort into. That's what they're saying straight away. They're like, I would actually like to take my time and get to know this person because there's more going on here. And that impression is strengthened by how much you guys mirror each other. With the Lovers and the Two of Cups and those past life cards that we're getting, there's a huge sense of sameness. This person is noticing right from the first meeting that you guys have all these little moments of like, are we the same person? Or like, have we lived the same life? It could be just random things, some examples I'm getting, and I'm just giving these examples based on the past life cards that we've pulled, but it could be like, you say, oh, I actually went vegetarian in January, and they're like, wait, I went vegetarian in January too. Or, you're talking about wanting to move out of the city and live more rurally and grow your own food and escape the 9-to-5 grind. And they're like, literally, I've just been thinking about doing the same. Or, you mention a specific restaurant or class or place or song or a hobby. And they're like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Like, I was just there. Like, what date did you go? And it turned out you went on the same day. Or they're like, I've been obsessed with that lately too. It can feel really, really spooky, like you've been living separate lives with the same plot points, and only now are your storylines merging, crossing. This is about merging, like immediate merging, like soul to soul recognition. For them, it's not just like, oh cool, we have something in common. It's more, oh my God, why is this so specific? Why is everything lining up like this? That diet card, on the surface, it's about food, but it's not really about food. It's an overall lifestyle thing, like appetite, cravings, habits, even healing around nourishment too. Maybe one example could be, if it is about food, like literal food, maybe both of you suddenly become more conscious of what you put into your body. Maybe in the past you've both struggled with similar food or body issues. Maybe you both eat like Tauruses at a buffet and you bond over like loving the good stuff and not apologizing for it. There's a huge sense of like, we're just weirdly aligned to the point where it feels like the universe has been prepping us for each other. And then we have the chicken nugget card, which is one of my favorite things ever, because this is very much like, you are a snack and you're also my emotional support food. So how do they see you on a first impression? Like comfort, like something they could get hooked on, like a craving, like when you get home from a night out and you're drunk and the only thing that you want more than anything is just chicken nuggets, like nothing else will do. It's like that, finally being home, getting in your pajamas, scrubbing off your makeup and eating chicken nuggets. If food is literally involved when you meet, this kind of gets even funnier. Like you might go out to eat and they see how you order, like what you choose, your appetite, and they love it. Like I'm literally picturing that scene from White Chicks, where Latrell's like, oh, perhaps a salad for the lady, and she goes, perhaps not. Like maybe that's you. You're like, no, I'm not doing your sad beige boring salad and eating neatly to impress you. Like I want the actual good food. So you might order something really delicious and decadent, and you might be a little bit unbothered about coming across as like, I'm just going to do the polite thing and order a salad and all that bullshit. Not that there's anything wrong with salads. I love salads, and if you like them, like if that's your favourite food, then fair enough, but you're not doing it to impress anyone is something I'm getting, like whatever you order. And this person is kind of just sitting there thinking like, I love that they love their food. I could not be with somebody who's scared to eat. Like, I love that they can match my appetite, but it's not just appetite when it comes to food. Like, it could be appetite for life and things you want to try. Like, food is just a metaphor here, but I guess it could be literally food if you eat food with them on a first date or something like that. If it's literal food, you might end up sharing food, sharing starters, splitting fries, splitting actual nuggets, or metaphorically sharing your comfort things. Or on the other hand, because I'm hearing Joey doesn't share food from friends, so it could be like somebody says, oh, do you want to share? And the other person's like, oh no, like I never share food, like I want my own. And they're like, oh my God, thank God, like I hate sharing food, but all my friends always want to share. So it could be like that, like whatever way it applies, it's that sameness, like you have the same views on things. Yeah, this person's first impression of you is that you are nourishing. Like being around you feels like that moment when you're in your pajamas with your best friend, eating those chicken nuggets and laughing at something stupid. There's comfort, there's something that feels familiar and safe, and like just enough gluttony that they always want. a little bit more of you, like one more conversation, one more hour, one more look. They quickly notice that they cannot get enough of you. Time goes really, really fast when you guys are together, and they walk away thinking, like, that wasn't enough time. I could have sat there for hours. Underneath all that, there's also a resonance with what you've both gone through around, maybe food, maybe bodies, maybe control. Whether that's been like diet struggles or struggling with restrictive behaviors, fasting, health issues, or just having like complicated relationships with certain foods. Use foods as whatever example fits for you. It could be something completely different. There's this unspoken understanding of like, yeah, I've had a similar journey with this too. Again, not everyone will resonate with that part, and if you do, it doesn't have to be about food, like I said, but for those of you where that does resonate, it's very much like a bonding thing for you guys. Rural living kind of adds this real grounding thread to the reading. Like, even if your outer aesthetic is colourful or it's neon or alternative or really glamorous, they can feel that beneath that, you're actually very earthy, like down to earth, practical, a soul that will be just as happy in a cottagecore fantasy as in a neon city. You could give the vibe of someone who could live on a farm or in a cabin, could grow their own vegetables, bake bread, and still look hot whilst doing it. You could appreciate these simple pleasures, good food, fresh air, a cozy home, a safe person. I think one thing with this is like they're also noticing that something about your beauty looks really, really timeless. And that's not to say that I personally believe that like only X type of beauty is timeless. In my personal opinion, I think one thing that's really beautiful about humans is our variety, like how many different kinds of beautiful there can be. And I think beauty trends are largely nonsense. But from their perspective, they're kind of saying like when they look at you, they think that you'd be considered beautiful in any era. And it could be different things for different people. But one example could be like you have features that like you could be in a Renaissance painting, or it could be they think you look like a 50s Hollywood starlet, like you have something very classic about your beauty, like Audrey Hepburn or Marilyn Monroe or something like that. Basically, they're saying like if someone plopped you down in a different decade or a different culture, you'd still be seen as very attractive. They may view you as someone whose body or face doesn't rely on like current Instagram trends. Something about you just feels very natural and classic to them. And even if you're like, oh, like I have hair extensions, I have lip filler, I'm not natural, like they think you do look natural. So maybe it's very subtle, like there's nothing wrong whether you do those things or not, but they think it looks like very natural. But they can also see that you're someone whose beauty feels very well cared for. Like they do notice the effort you put into yourself. They might think that some of it is natural, but you also build on those natural features. So you might have naturally good skin, but they can also tell that you must also maintain a skincare routine, or you have a naturally beautiful body shape, but they can also tell that you work out, something like that. There's something about like strength training coming through. I'm also getting boxing or kickboxing. Somebody could have started doing strength training recently, lifting maybe is relevant. But yeah, they respect how you pour into your body as a home instead of treating it as an afterthought. There's something about your shape really catching their eye too. I'm getting something about a waist to hip ratio, something about the way clothes sit on you, your chest and waist proportions too. Some of you could wear like, I'm getting something about peasant dresses. It's probably because it said peasant on one of the cards, but also like maybe this kind of dress, like, or that's the shape that they are noticing, like you have a similar shape to this where she goes like in and out. Some of you could wear like very cottagecore style dresses, milkmaid dresses, or you wear silhouettes that really highlight certain areas, and this person is looking like they look stunning in that, like they look so good in that. Yeah, and your beauty feels like the kind of beauty that would be adored and revered in any lifetime, not just this one, is basically what they're saying. With the Lovers clarified by the Knight of Pentacles, their first impression is absolutely, this feels like a choice, this feels like alignment. This person could actually be partner material. They felt attraction before, they found people hot before, but with you, it's not just the chemistry, it is the recognition and the values. Remember how we said you both jump quickly into deeper topics? That's how they know this isn't just lust. You talk about morals and lifestyles and beliefs, what you want out of life. And they acknowledge like, oh, we are actually on the same page here. So even from that first meeting, they have this quiet knowing that things with you could go far. But the Knight of Pentacles in them also kicks in and says like, okay, slow down, let's breathe. Don't sprint into this and burn it out. You know, this connection is something to be nurtured, not something to rush. They notice that with you, they don't actually want to rush anyway, even though there is that kind of gluttonous, greedy streak where they're like, I just want to have all of you now, like I want to devour you, basically. There's also that wisdom of wanting to savor the experience. You know, this isn't, I know we said like chicken nugget, but this isn't fast food. Like, this is a slow cooked meal. They want this to last. With the Ace of Cups clarified by Judgment, meeting you feels like a heart awakening moment. Ace of Cups is new love, new emotion, new spark, that gentle nudge that's like, oh no, why am I smiling at my phone? That kind of feeling. And Judgment is that bell ringing, it's awakening, it's clarity, it's things clicking into place, feeling like, oh, that's why. So for them, this first impression ties into things like, now I see why other relationships didn't work. Now I see why certain doors closed. You know, I was meant to be available when this person walked in, this person meaning you. You meet at a time when you or they, or both of you even, have been in a Two of Swords phase, you know, maybe torn between two options, forced to consider different paths, at a crossroads, in a little bit of brain fog maybe, unsure of which direction to go in. Maybe between career paths, living situations, or even romantic choices for some of you. And then you meet, and it's like that Emperor part of them sits up straight and goes like, oh, that's the path, that's the person. Okay, I get it. Like, everything else just got very quiet. They may also see a bit of that Two of Swords in you. This might not be for everyone, but, you know, if you're the kind of person who is indecisive about what to order, for example, or you're talking about like how you can't decide which direction to take in life, this kind of brings out their Emperor side. It's like they want to come in and make your life easier where they can. They want to take some of this weight off your shoulders. They want you to be able to step into that steady, decisive energy so that you can relax for once. Especially if you feel like that person who is always having to be responsible for everyone and always having to make decisions in your day-to-day life. It's like they notice that they want to take some of that weight off you, and that's how they know that this actually matters. And yeah, with the Two of Cups clarified by the Three of Wands, I think this is telling us that their first impression definitely isn't one-sided. You might not agree with absolutely everything that they've said today, Pal 3, but I'm not getting this being like a situation where it's like, I'm obsessed and they don't know that I exist. This is very much mutual. It's very much like we vibe, we mirror, we get each other. Like, this feels mutual. So the conversation flows back and forth. You match their effort, you ask questions back, you reciprocate. They don't feel like they're dragging the interaction along. It is mutual interest, it's mutual curiosity, mutual comfort. And the Three of Wands kind of adds that future forward glance. Like, even from the very first time they meet you, it's like they're low-key imagining future conversations, future dates, future trips or experiences, who the two of you could be or become later down the line. Not in a super clingy way or in a way where they're wanting to rush things, just in a way that's kind of soft and hopeful and excited towards the future. It's like straight from that first meeting, they're saying, I really want to see where this goes. You know, I'd like more time with this person. I want to see what this could lead to because I can see us building something really substantial here. They see you as someone they could genuinely grow with, someone whose life could expand alongside theirs, not someone they'd have to like shrink themselves for. So to wrap up, like in just a few words, their very first impression of you, Pal 3, basically they're saying Pal 3 is deep as hell, they're not basic. They're saying Pal 3 is protective, sharp, and a little bit scary, but in the hottest way. They're saying it feels like today is the day we plant a seed for something real. They're saying that you're a craving they could get addicted to. And they're saying like, this could actually be my person, I just need to not fumble the bag. So that is what I'm getting for you, Pal 3, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. I just want to thank you so much for being here and for spending this time with me. I appreciate you more than you could ever know. Your time, your energy, your presence, it genuinely means the world, and I'm always so honoured when you choose to share it with me. If this reading resonated in any way at all, if it brought you clarity or comfort, if it was entertaining, or it just sparked a little bit of joy, please don't forget to like, comment, hype, share, and subscribe if you get a chance. It truly supports the channel, it just helps me keep doing what I love, and it allows me to continue creating these readings for you. Every little bit of engagement goes so much further than you might realise, and I am eternally grateful for it. And also thank you to everyone who wished me a happy birthday. Your messages honestly made my whole day. I'm sending you all so much love and softness and good energy. Thank you so much for being here, Pal 3. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi Pal 4 Collective. If you chose the Final Rose Tarot and this little Wi-Fi signal sticker and you chose Pal 4, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled The Very First Moment They Saw You. What really went through their mind? If you would like a full breakdown of everything this reading will entail, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I do recommend checking out one of those just so you know what to expect going into this reading. But if you want a little bit of an overview, if you have come straight to your chosen pile, just to let you know, this is a fun, intuitive, deep dive into someone's very first impression of you. So whether that's your current boo, the person you're trying to soft launch on your Instagram stories, or a future connection you haven't even met yet, but who is definitely minding their business somewhere completely unaware that they're about to star in this reading, this one's for you. So if you've ever wondered what your current person really thought the first moment they saw you, or if you want to know what your future boo is going to think when you walk into their life to disrupt their peace, this reading is absolutely for you. We're going to be using a mix of oracle cards and tarot cards today, as you can see, and you actually got some extra cards, Pal 4, and Pal 3 got one extra card as well, but you got two extra cards. You got an extra card from the Wild Muse Oracle and an extra past life card, which is very exciting. Probably the sign of a very nuanced reading, I would imagine. So yeah, without any further hesitation, I'm going to pop your sticker to one side for now so we can get started. So from the Wild Whiskers Oracle, we have got Earnest Elephant, Gentleness, Temperance, Goodwill, Pillar of Patience and Kindness, bless my heart with your gentle nature. From the Affirmations of Fairy Cats, we've got Sleep. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we've got Best Case Scenario. Okay. And we've also got from the Wild Muse Oracle, No Strings Attached. Oh, okay. This is going to be an interesting one. From the Audacity deck, we have got the Moon. Okay. And from the Past Life Oracle, we have got Defender, Knight, Mercenary, Bodyguard, Special Intelligence, Defender. And we have got Animals, Herder, Animal Lover, Animal Care, Other. And let's have a look at your tarot. Okay, so we have got the Three of Mirrors, which is the Three of Swords, red flags. And clarifying that, we have got number 20, the Rose Ceremony, which is Judgment. Which is interesting because Judgment has come out so many times today. Definitely some big collective awakening moments coming through in these piles today. We have got the Two of Mirrors, which is the Two of Swords, 2-on-1. And clarifying the Two of Swords, we have got Paradise, which is the Sun, I think. We have got the Knight of Swords, the Meathead. And clarifying the Knight of Swords, we've got Quality Time, Six of Rings, which is the Six of Pentacles. We have got number 10, Destiny, so Wheel of Fortune, that's pretty big energy too. And then clarifying Destiny, we have got the Producer Plant, which is a very interesting card to get, especially when it's clarifying Destiny. Plot twist energy, okay, that's interesting. And I do have to say, like, every single time I was pulling a card, it felt like a plot twist to me as a reader, like straight away. And even the fact you got like multiple cards coming out, that says to me that you might be my it's complicated pile. Not doomed, not like messy just for the sake of being messy, just human. Like, this is gonna be a very layered reading, a very nuanced reading, a little 3D chaos with like 5D purpose, if you want to call it that. And if this hasn't happened yet, if we are talking like this is a future person. I'm not saying that there's going to be like drama in the future. I'm just acknowledging that real people have complex feelings. Like, if this has already happened, you will know it's for you, I think. You're probably going to be like, yeah, that tracks. And you can literally see it in the spread, you know. We've got cards like no strings attached, sitting under best case scenario, the moon and judgment, the two of swords pretending it's unbothered while the sun is out here blasting everyone with serotonin. Like, big mixed signals. Is it bad? No, it's not bad, it's just layered, and it's very much like, oh, this first impression is a lot. It's a lot. And you will know that, I think. And I also want to give like a quick mini disclaimer. I know you guys are going to be like, oh, for God's sake, Nosy Witch, not another one of your tangents. But I can't do these readings without going off on tangents. I know some people will probably get a little bit prickly when they see that no strings energy, and I want you guys to be aware that this is very much a judgment-free zone. I am not assigning shame to casual anything. People want different things at different times. Whether you're celibate, whether you're casual, whether you're committed, or just curious, all of that to me is valid when there is honesty and when there is safety. I think the only thing that deserves side-eye and deserves shaming is disingenuous behaviour. So, you know, lying, pressuring, manipulating, or playing with someone's consent, those are all things that are deserving of shame. Hookups in and of themselves, to me, are not. And can we be really real for a second? I'm sorry, I'm already going off on one. But a lot of these so-called progressive critiques of hookup culture are really just patriarchal, shame-based doctrine in a supposedly feminist trench coat. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are lots of good arguments against hookup culture and things like that. However, when someone's argument is presented in a way that is fundamentally still rooted in patriarchy, it's still rooted in this very like heteronormative idea that casual sexual enjoyment is only between men and women, and that it's something that women give to men, as if women aren't inherently schmexual beings. When it follows that same script that says if you sleep with someone quickly, you lose value, this idea that physical intimacy fundamentally changes women and yet men apparently remain unchanged, this idea that like men can separate emotion from sex but women can't, or you'll ruin your ability to pair bond. Oh, but pair bond thing, purity culture, just in a new font. That's what it's given, and it's exhausting. It's really exhausting. It's not rooted in truth, biological, spiritual, or otherwise. Again, that's not saying that there aren't arguments for and against. I'm not saying it can't be a conversation and that it's not nuanced, but where we start with like fear-mongering tactics and tactics that are rooted in archaic forms of oppression, that's where you lose me on this. And as well, like the whole sort of stigma attached to women. Like, if women express their schmexuality in a way that is frowned upon by society, suddenly it's like, oh, it's her daddy issues, like, what would your dad say about this? Where's her dad? And that's used as like an attack against her character when it actually doesn't say anything about her. It would say something about this hypothetical father that may or may not be in the picture. Because let's not pretend that men don't get attached after one good cuddle, like their mothers never hugged them growing up. And that's not an attack on them. That's not to be like, haha, her dad's not around, haha, his mum didn't love him. It's just like, let's stop using those things as weapons to deny someone their own autonomy and expression of autonomy. Also, women enjoy sex, like, period, women enjoy sex. Also, queer people exist. You know, when your argument against hookup culture is talking about how men's DNA changes a woman and stuff like that, which is rife in the spiritual community, I'm thinking like, okay, well, maybe I'm hooking up with women, so does the same thing apply for the strap? That has DNA on it too. It's just pseudoscience dressed as enlightened, dressed as empowerment, and it's just bullshit. Like, the human experience is a lot more complicated than a 1950s handbook. This actually reminds me as well, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm going off on such a tangent, but this reminds me of something I once saw in a Facebook group. I don't have Facebook anymore, but when I did have it, I was in this group where women give each other advice. It was often about relationships and about things like that, but it was also like just people sharing memes and just general discussions. And I remember, I don't know how anyone was on this subject, but it was something about like the amount of dates it's acceptable to have before you sleep with somebody. And one woman proudly, like very proudly, posted that her husband had told her, like, oh, if you'd slept with me on the first date, I'd have known that you weren't the one. And she said it like that was a flex. And I was very confused by that. Like, she was bragging, sort of saying, like, I waited the right number of dates and then I got rewarded with this prize of a man. Like, I got the ring, I got married to this amazing man. And all I could think was like, girl, you were bragging that your husband's character depends entirely on your self-restraint, that he supposedly couldn't control himself, but you had to manage both your desires and his. That's not a flex. That is just patriarchy's PR department working overtime. It turns women into gatekeepers and men into creatures with no agency. And both of those ideas are very insulting, and it is not biological, it is social, it is a learned behaviour. And I just thought, if someone is going to use being physical as the metric for whether or not to respect you, that is very much about them, not you. I feel the need to say that. You know, a good person respects consent, full stop, whether it's a first date hookup or it's your wedding night. And if someone rethinks your value because you were intimate with them, that is not your loss, that's your lucky escape. Like, it really is, because you don't need to earn decency by keeping your legs crossed on a timeline that somebody else invented. So yeah, like, if you're not into casual connections, that's perfectly fine. The reading might not even be about that specifically, but I do want to bring it up. Yeah, if another person is and they're safe and they're honest and they're very self-aware about it, that is fine too. Nobody's morally superior. Different needs, different seasons. For some of you in this pile, you know, this might have started as a hookup or two people saying, let's keep it casual sort of thing, and it accidentally turned into feelings. For others, it's just a timing thing, you know, attraction's there, but someone feels like they can't get too deep right now. Either way, there's no shame here. You know, we're grown, we're nuanced. Now that that is out of the way, the vibe on site is gentle and dangerous. The duality. The duality, of course, I'm always talking about duality. You know, from the jump, this person clocks a very specific kind of contradiction. The affirmations of Fairy Cat's card, sleep, it says that you feel like a weighted blanket in human form. Peaceful, safe, unhurried. And the earnest elephant adds a moral backbone to that I think this person notices. It's patience, it's genuine kindness. You're like chamomile tea with a secret shot of tequila is what I want to say. Like, gentle with a little bit of spice. And I think this person quickly realizes they can relax a little bit in your aura. But then there's a twist, because they see that and then 3 seconds later it hits them that you could absolutely ruin their life in the best way if you wanted to. Beautiful duality, dangerous duality, and yes, they notice it immediately. And I think that's why they're so conflicted. You know, past life with the animals card showing up doubles down on this theme. There's this soft exterior with kind of a protector energy. You know, they see you as somebody immediately who would rescue the stray or defend the vulnerable, and you would bear claws if someone crossed a line. They clock your compassion, even in that first moment. But I'm seeing something about animalism. There's something animalistic as well about this attraction. That is something they notice immediately. It's something that, like, just makes sense on a biological level. Like, their body is attracted to your body, and there's this chemistry between you. There's this fire, and it's undeniable. But with no strings, and best case scenario showing up on top of each other. Oh, why did I say it like that? On top of each other. Okay. Take that however it resonates. Maybe they knew they wanted to be on top of you straight away, like the moment they met you. Or maybe you were on top. Maybe you're the top pile thought, I don't know. But yeah, that says to me there is, like, within that first moment, even a cognitive dissonance and complicated feelings. And this is a little bit spicy, this is a little bit of tea, but I think both of you, but obviously this is about this person's first impression, but I think it was, like, mutual. You were likely telling yourselves some version of, like, let's keep it light. And it's not because either of you are cold, it's because of something tangible, like timing, or somebody's healing, or just logistics, like practical realities, or whatever else. So it could have been pre-decided in this first instance that like this has to be casual, like this is going to be just what it is and it's not going to be any more than that. So friends only, there could be no physical intimacy involved whatsoever, despite the attraction, despite wanting to, because it has to be that way. Or it could be, you know, friends with benefits, casual dating, or going out looking for fun and looking for a thrill and convincing yourself that this is just going to be a hookup, it's just going to be one night, that sort of thing, depending on where you're at. It's basically a sort of not looking for anything serious right now. You know the drill. But the thing is, the moment they met you, best case scenario lit up in their minds like a game show board or something. Their mouth was saying, yeah, no strings, like I can do that. But their higher self was saying, endgame, this is endgame. And that's the confusion, you know, they tried to play it cool and they failed very, very miserably. Then the moon slid in. The moon was like, not being shady, but the feelings are there. Like maybe you're trying to ignore them, but you did trigger their intuition, their fantasy, and their fear all at once. Their internal monologue was basically like going crazy. So many hidden feelings rattling under the surface, but with best case scenario, it's kind of like, I think probably you were doing the deciding here, and maybe they went along with it because they could see that best case scenario in their head, and they were kind of saying, well, the worst case scenario is I get to spend like one phenomenal night with Pal 4, or I get to be close to Pal 4 for as long as possible, even if it's not going to be long term. It's that sort of thing, and they accepted that, even though their feelings were already running away with them from that first meeting, because they were kind of like, well, it's better than nothing, and like, think of what the best case scenario would be as well. It's that fantasy. So with red flag, Pal 4, maybe they saw you as a red flag, but red is their favourite colour. No, I don't think it's that you wear a red flag. I think their feelings and the strength of them and the intensity felt like a red flag because of their past experiences, maybe. Especially with like the moon and all these hidden feelings. And it is complicated. Like their first thought, it's like their body was pulling them towards you, but their brain was saying, no, absolutely not. Like, let's not go there. And it's not, when I say their brain, I don't mean that their brain was being logical in that moment because you are a red flag and they should avoid you. It was just this very like push and pull dynamic, because we know our brains aren't always logical. You know, sometimes thoughts spiral, sometimes thoughts catastrophize. So even when everything in them wanted to come towards you, there was almost this siren going off in their head, like, no, we can't do this. I'm hearing we can't do this again. So for some of them, they could have just ended something with somebody, and their first impression of you was like, no, absolutely not. Like, I just healed. Like, I literally just healed. I just got over something. But then 2 seconds later, they're looking you up and down and they're like, unless it could be different this time. You know, 3 of Swords is their freshly stitched heart staring at you and being like, I cannot do this again. But Judgment is blowing the trumpet of recognition and saying, wake up, like you woke something up in them. It's not subtle at all. And yeah, when I say they saw you as like a bit of a red flag, I don't mean that you are toxic. I mean, they're looking at you and saying, this powerful person could be the undoing of me. Powerful could ruin my life and I'd let them. Like, they could break my heart in half and I'd still thank them for the experience. That's something they know on a deeper soul level. They know that being around you means no going back to emotional autopilot, and that's why they immediately label it danger, even as they lean in. And, you know, because the swords are absolutely everywhere here, it is giving me like classic air sign. That could be you, that could be them. Somebody's moon sign specifically could be air. Like, logic showing up, and they're sort of promising themselves like, they'll be strategic. They're saying, you know, if I catch feelings, I'll just step back. It'll be that easy. But then I'm seeing like, is it Ralph from The Simpsons who's like, I'm in danger? They underestimate their own biology and the timing, and they underestimate your smile. Like one look and they're like, oh, fuck, not again. If you already set a boundary and you said like casual only, or friends for now, or, you know, wrong time to be serious, they told you, yeah, that works for me, whilst privately realizing that they were already catching feelings, They aren't lying to hurt you though, it's honest cognitive dissonance. It's them telling themselves that they can handle it. They're like, yeah, that sounds good, and in theory it does sound good, but theory doesn't always match with what's going on the inside and in our hearts, does it? And sometimes it's not like disingenuousness or forcing themselves to be a way that they fundamentally aren't. Sometimes we only learn this through trial and error. You know, some people truly can do casual and others only figure out they can't once they meet the exception. And with you, you're the exception. I'm hearing Paramore, the only exception right now. This first encounter, it could be a case of somebody feeling like wrong time, right person. This kind of feels like the wrong time, right person starter pack. And some examples of how this might play out is, you know, one person or potentially both of you just out of long relationships, like you're in your healing era, you're promising like no exclusivity, you're saying I need to be single for a while, and then it feels like you're halfway in love by the second casual date. It could be work proximity, you know, that sort of, oh, we probably shouldn't take this too far, feeling that flirting at the office. It could be a travel thing, maybe being long distance, somebody saying, you know, we're gonna have to keep it light, you can't be my soulmate because I fly home next week. Like, and then it cuts to them Googling flight changes and trying to make long distance plans. Or it could be like something forbidden or forbidden adjacent. So maybe it's your ex's best friend, maybe there is some kind of what you feel is like a power imbalance, maybe cultural or family pressure. You're like, you know, I really like this person, but I could never bring them home. Like, my family wouldn't approve because they want me to be with somebody in a particular culture, something like that. Society pressures. It could even be like a schmexuality thing that somebody's family wouldn't approve of, something like that. Logically, it feels like a no, but their heart is like already signing the paperwork. Like, their heart is already married. They keep saying wrong time, and life keeps saying, sure, Jan, sure, Jan. Yeah, like, even with the Two of Swords and the Sun, this is a really interesting dynamic, actually. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of gives me enemies to lovers vibes. The Two of Swords here is very much that I'm composed, I feel nothing, front, forward facing face. But the Sun is blasting joy like an open window in a stuffy room. There's very much like karmic mirror energy. At first, there could be some sense of you kind of triggering each other's past wounds. I'm getting definitely magnetic energy, but like polar opposites. Whereas like Pal 3, there was an element of destiny at play in Pal 3, but that was very much based on like sameness. Here there is an element of destiny, but it's like opposites attract, that sort of thing. So I'm not gonna lie, at first, you two might kind of like have this little thing where you rub each other up the wrong way initially. It's something where like their attraction might show up as petty annoyance depending on how willing they are to be honest with themselves, is what I want to say. But petty annoyance in this scenario is actually like unclaimed attraction. I'm really trying to think of how to explain this, and I'm trying to give an example to like put it in a tangible context. But okay, do you know there's that, it's not a meme, but it's like a reel that I've seen on Instagram or something, and it says something like, oh, when you're in a relationship and your partner comes home and goes on and on about this person they hate at work and how annoying they are. And I'm not explaining it very well here, but the underlying message is basically like, that's a red flag. Like, they basically are obsessed with that person, like they have a crush on them and they just don't want to admit it, something like that. Again, I'm not explaining that in the best way, but there's something like that here. You know, they might mutter like, oh, do you ever shut up? When what they actually mean is like, your voice is like kryptonite to me, your voice is making me weak and I'm scared. You know, they'll scroll your socials at 1 a.m. after complaining all day that you get on their nerves. You could also like kind of project onto each other a little bit, like you drag up each other's past wounds. There's something very sort of karmic, nodal about this connection that you notice right off the bat. You know, if, for example, you show up looking really good in a really beautiful outfit, like a designer outfit or something like that, if this person has money wounds, they might project onto you and be like, oh, Pal 4, my impression of them is that they're superficial. when actually in that moment they might be overwhelmed by desire and insecurity. And some of, like, if you are with this person and things have like changed a lot since these days, they could have even told you like, oh, at first I thought you were going to be like really stuck up or superficial, especially with like that meathead card. And that won't be the case for all of you. It might not be this specific example, but it could be you both kind of like said about each other like, oh, I didn't think they were going to be as deep as what they are. Like, you could have even said about them, like, oh, I thought you were just like a typical gym bro, or I thought you were like a meathead, but actually there's a lot more to you. Something like that. That's just one random example. It could even be like, if you are super nurturing and super gentle and soft-spoken, if you come across as very like motherly or something, if they have mother wounds, they could kind of crave that while simultaneously sort of pushing it away. So there's kind of this push-pull, attraction-repulsion dynamic. If they've been burned by chasing attraction in the past, it's like they repel their own urge to pursue you because last time desire really, really hurt them. So this could show up in different ways. Maybe at first they are like avoidant with you or distant, or they act like they don't like you because something really triggers them. But on the other hand, that particular storyline might not apply to everyone, but for some of you that will apply. But on the other hand, there's a lot of potential here for like healing of both of your inner children, especially with that son. And there's something like about becoming best friends, and I'm almost getting, you know, the trope of grumpy versus sunshine. It's like you're the sunshine to their grump. You drag playfulness into beige rooms kicking and screaming. You're the person who makes even like miserable Barbara from HR, who threatens to call the police on her neighbours every 2 minutes, you make her crack a smile. Like, honestly, they could think you are like the personality hire at your job or something, as one example, because you actually bring joy to people. People gravitate towards you, and sometimes this might lead to people projecting onto you like, oh, your life must be easy because, you know, you're kind whilst carrying your own weight. But you know the truth, it often takes a lot of healing to be this warm, and your person gets that. They see the resilience under the sparkle. You make stuffy spaces feel like playtime. And there's also very much like the way this 2-on-1 card looks, there's definitely almost like a playfulness, a banter, a sort of sibling rivalry type vibe. Sort of this feeling they immediately notice you can bring out the worst and best in each other. Like, you can squabble like siblings and kind of claw at each other's deeply buried wounds in some way, but also you can be each other's peace, you can be each other's paradise, you can be each other's safe sanctuary, you can make each other able to express yourselves in a way that is really not holding back, and sometimes that's in a really good and sunny and warm way. Like, you can bring a side out of each other that kind of like makes you both remember who you really are and your inner child, your inner children. With the Knight of Swords and with the Six of Rings, they could notice very early on that, like, even if there is kind of that background storyline of like you wind each other up a little bit at first in some way, they could notice that regardless of that, they still gravitate towards you, and they still for some reason want to spend as much time with you as possible or be in your energy. You know, it's like we said when we gave that example of them talking about like how much you irritate them, but then spending hours on your social media profiles trying to figure you out. Or let's say you work together, this is them sort of like making fun of you, trying to be cute, but then you find that they're always hovering around your desk. Like, they always want to kind of poke your shoulder or like do that childish pulling your ponytail flirting, or, you know, like sitting accidentally close to you trying to start a banter war. They could also notice that there's something about you that's a little bit like chaotic or very spontaneous. They get this vibe from you, like you'll be the type to leave on your lunch break and come back with like a tiny tattoo and a croissant in your other hand, that sort of vibe. And you just be like, oh yeah, I got a new tattoo, I got a new piercing on my break. Even if you've never mentioned it before, it's like chaotic in the cutest way. And they also notice that you kind of bring that spontaneous side out of them too. Around you, they kind of get these really silly ideas. They're like, oh, should we go and get matching tattoos? They kind of want to do things they've never done when they get around you, is something they've noticed. And they also feel like they notice when they're having a conversation with you, time doesn't feel wasted. Like, they feel like every moment with you is quality time. even if you're doing something boring together, like if you work together and you're doing like the dullest task, when they get to spend it with you, they have a lot of fun. They could also notice that you yourself are very generous, you know, maybe they notice that you give without being asked to, like you give generous tips to servers, you share your snacks at the office, you remember tiny details about people, you offer to help people without keeping score, maybe you're really generous with compliments, you're always like hyping people up, and you give people your attention and your time. And that kind of makes this person want to show up properly, not in like a breadcrumbing way, but by being real and by being present and consistent. You know, every interaction with you feels nourishing to this person. Like they learned something from you, or they somehow left lighter than when they came in. The Knight of Swords kind of wants to sprint and wants to do it all at once, but the Pentacles is there whispering, like savor it, like savor every moment with Pile 4, and they really do. I feel like immediately they recognize you as somebody they could have a lot of fun memories with, especially with that elephant as well. Also with like that Defender card coming through, I feel like this person notices, even if you've agreed like let's be casual or no strings or we're just friends, they get very protective of you straight away. With special intelligence, this could also be like them suddenly turning into the FBI when it comes to you. You know, even if you've said, yeah, it's just casual, it's no strings, whatever, suddenly they're like, oh, you posted you were at this restaurant last night, who were you with, or what time did you get home, and things like that. And you're like, why are you asking me this? Like, you're not my dad, you're not my mum, like, why do you care? But suddenly they're your personal security, and they're like, oh, I don't care, like, don't have to tell me I don't care. But also they care very, very deeply. You know, they get weirdly competitive, I think, about anyone near you. They might be sort of puffing up their chest, metaphorically, trying to impress you. It's very like bodyguard energy in denial. But I also feel like special intelligence, that could relate to you too. They could actually feel like you get all the good gossip. Like they clock that people tell you everything. Maybe you always have the office tea if you work together or something like that. People open up to you, you know the vibe, and you can always pick up on the subtext, and they find that kind of hot and they find it intimidating as well. So with that sleep card, there's something they notice. Either you look adorably sleepy, maybe in the context they first saw you, maybe it was morning, like early morning, especially if this is work or something. It doesn't have to be, but it could be something about you having sleepy eyes. Maybe somebody here always drinks energy drinks. Maybe you have a very Pisces rising look about you, big sleepy eyes. Or if this was a hookup turned sleepover when it wasn't supposed to be, maybe someone planned to leave after you guys got what you wanted, but instead there you were curled on one side of the bed looking all soft and peaceful, and that was their like uh-oh moment. That was where they knew they were in trouble, because they just wanted you to stay. They wanted to spoon you, they wanted to be closer, they didn't want it to end. I'm thinking of the Janae song Living Room Flow, where she's like, I don't have to stay till morning, I don't have to pack no clothes. Except they wanted you to. You know, you were like ready to leave, like be like, okay, we're done here, like I'll go now. And they didn't want you to, and that's when they knew that they were in big trouble. You know, suddenly they're picturing waking up beside you and they're like panicking at how tender that feels. There could also be something like very specific, but if you went to their house or if they went to your house, there's something where like pets love you. Maybe you've got this very gentle baby voice that you do for dogs or pets. Maybe you are so gentle that you won't even squish a bug. You're just very gentle with the vulnerable, and I feel like that kind of pushes them over the edge. They're like, oh my god, Powerful is all this and my dog loves them too. Like it can't be casual now, my dog's fallen in love with them as well as me, like I'm gonna have to keep them around. It's that kind of thing. So yeah, some of them, it's like they agreed to be casual to keep you near, already knowing that it couldn't stay that way because the feelings were already blooming. They promised themselves they wouldn't get jealous, but the idea of you with somebody else cooked them instantly. Like they were like, no, they suddenly became your defender. Like, who are you with? Why are you hanging out with them? They didn't want to see that. It really hurt them. They told themselves they'd be logical, but their nervous system, I'm hearing shows violence, but it's not violence, it's love. their nervous system was choosing love, but they didn't want to look at it. They were trying to intellectualize their feelings. And both of you guys kept saying it's the wrong time, but destiny kept sending producer notes and plot twists. And then, yeah, with that Wheel of Fortune clarified by the producer plant, this feels cinematic. You know, on a first impression, this is like the mid-season twist. This is the thing they weren't expecting. But they walk away thinking, like, this wasn't random, like, my life has low-key just pivoted, you know, if this is the right person, maybe it's inconvenient timing, there's heavy projection, there's that irresistible pull, and there's this really, really loud sense that this meeting was somehow scripted, like, I am meant to be here for a reason, like, I keep getting drawn back to this person, it's like destiny, but I didn't see this coming, you know, it's like, why them? Why now? Like, if it's long distance, if it's cultural differences, if there's family pressure, if there's a focus on career, or 1,000 million practical reasons why this shouldn't work, and yet your heart keeps choosing them. That's this spread. You know, with Pal 3, it was very much that, like, same recognition. With you, it's like opposites with a beam towards each other. I don't know how else to explain it. Yeah, with Sleepy, maybe they notice you're always saying I'm tired, or you've always got coffee with you, or something like that. I feel like they tried to say no strings, but then the heart was pulling them to this best case scenario, and they said to themselves, but what if? Like, what if we beat all the odds and we can overcome these obstacles and we can really be something? This person scanned for red flags, feeling like they had them all figured out, but they realised that the actual danger was how much they already cared and how much they were already invested in this. It's like you woke them up and you scared them, you terrified them in the same breath. You're like the sunshine that makes even the grumpiest person crack a smile, and if they are the grumpiest person, that would annoy them sometimes. But with you, there is like a soft spot for it. They immediately had a soft spot for you. Like, even when they would like roll their eyes at you or be like, oh, you're so annoying, they had a soft spot for you that was undeniable. And they felt destiny with you as well before they even learned your middle name. They have always felt that pull. They just didn't always know what it was. Sometimes it came through as attraction, sometimes it came through as annoyance, sometimes it came through as fear and confusion, but it was always there. So maybe they walked in kind of half expecting a fling, a friend, a moment that they thought would be just a moment, forgettable, but then they met their nervous system's favourite person and their logic's worst nightmare. But it's not really logic, it's like their skewed logic. You know, somebody who's gentle on the outside, very protective at your core, sunshine, no strings on paper, but actually best case scenario in practice. The first impression, it was not casual. They went in expecting casual, and that is not what they got. They got transformed. They got put on the path of some kind of destiny. They maybe got their feelings hurt a little bit too, and they got shot by Cupid's arrow too. So that is what I'm getting for you, Pal 4. That is where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. I just want to thank you so much for being here and for spending this time with me. I appreciate you more than you know. Your time, your energy, your presence, it genuinely means the world to me, and I'm always honoured when you choose to share it with me. If this reading resonated even a little tiny bit, if it brought you clarity, if it entertained you, brought you comfort, or even just a little bit of joy, please don't forget to like, comment, hype, share, and subscribe if you get a chance. It truly supports the channel, it helps me keep doing what I love, and it allows me to continue creating these readings for you. Every little bit of engagement goes so much further than you might realise, and I am endlessly grateful for it. And thank you again to everyone who wished me a happy birthday. Your messages honestly made my whole day. I'm sending you all so much love, so much softness, and so much good energy. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, Pal 4. Hi Pal 5 Collective, if you chose the Real Talk Tarot and you chose this sun sticker and you chose Pal 5, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled The Very First Moment They Saw You, What Really Went Through Their Mind. If you would like a full reading breakdown, I would recommend checking out my introduction. I do go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking one of those out so you know what to expect going into this reading today. But just for a little brief overview before we get started, this is a fun, intuitive deep dive into someone's very first impression of you. So whether that's your current boo, the person you're trying to soft launch on your Instagram stories, or a future connection you haven't even met yet, but who is definitely out there just minding their own business, completely unaware that they're about to star in this reading, this one's for you. If you've ever wondered what your current partner really thought of you the very first moment they saw you or they met you, or if you want to know what your future boo is gonna think when you walk into their life and disrupt their peace, this reading is absolutely for you. We're going to be using a mix of oracle cards and tarot cards today, and without hesitation, let's get straight to it and jump into your chosen pile. I'm just going to pop your little sun to one side for now so we can focus on the cards. Okay, pile 5, let's have a look. So from the Wild Whiskers Oracle, we have got Mystical Moth, Spirituality, Psychic Ability, Passion, Shimmering Maiden of the Moon, Uncover the Arcane Knowledge I Seek. Arcane, I like that word. I don't see that word very often. Maybe that's their first impression, you know, you're not something that people see very often. Moth symbolism could be significant to you guys, so transformations, coming out of the cocoon energy. Maybe somebody here has a moth tattoo, that's coming through. A connection to moon goddesses or to nighttime, that's coming through. Arcane also made me think of the word arcade, so maybe an arcade is relevant. Okay, from the affirmations of fairy cats, we have Sen. Oh my god, okay, so somebody smells really, really good. Somebody smelled divine. That's one of the first things they could have noticed about you. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got Be Authentic. Theatre could be relevant with the masks. Drama, media studies. From the Audacity deck, we have the High Priestess. Okay, yeah. You are definitely given like mythical, magical, divine energy, pile 5. From the Past Life Oracle, we have got Fall of Civilization. That's quite dramatic for a love reading, isn't it? Greed, corruption, indulgence, ignorance. Fall of Civilization, right. Well, okay then. Well, you obviously had a big impact on somebody, pile 5. Okay, let's look at your tarot. So we have the Page of Wands in reverse. Clarifying Page of Wands in reverse is the Lovers. We have had that come through on almost every pile, and I truly wasn't expecting it. But that's just so nice to see that that's come through on so many piles. I'm getting like a bit emotional. I don't know why, but it's just so nice to see that, like, especially if this is a future thing, like things are lining up for some of you guys, because some of you guys really, really do deserve it. I don't know why I said some of you like that. Like, all of you do. Like, some of you deserve it. No, all of you deserve it. Okay, we have Strength reversed. Clarifying Strength reversed is the Queen of Swords. You make people weak at the knees, pile 5. That's what this person notices about you. We have got the Ten of Swords. Clarifying the Ten of Swords, we have the Six of Swords. We have got the Ten of Cups. And clarifying the Ten of Cups, we have got the King of Cups. Okay, beautiful. Gorgeous. Right. Your spread is intense. This is like end of season plot twist intense. Like, this person's very first impression of you wasn't just like, oh wow, they're cute. It was existential, which sounds dramatic. I know it sounds dramatic, I know it does, but that is what is coming through. These readings have been kind of dramatic today, and this is no exception, you know? From the second this person saw you, they were hit with, I want to say, a mix of fascination and fear. Like, they could sense, well, they thought anyway, that you are magnetic, you are mysterious, and just a little bit dangerous to their equilibrium. You have that energy of someone who keeps their cards close to their chest, but always seemed like 3 steps ahead. You give that kind of vibe, so they instantly clocked you as someone who very much like doesn't give too much away. The kind of person who on the surface comes across as pretty friendly, pretty funny, like clearly well liked as well. Like, even if you're introverted, probably quite popular and able to get on with whichever circles you're involved with. You can be social, but you're still a little bit hard to get to in some way. There's something very exclusive about your energy. It's like you might laugh easily in public, you might connect easily to people, but there is this invisible boundary between you and the world, which I think you've had to put in place probably to protect your spiritual peace, I would imagine, if this is resonating, like if you agree with what this person perceives about you. But it's like you're open-hearted with your people, the ones who've earned their place, but everyone else, they kind of have to work for access. So very exclusive, very like not everybody gets to join the club. They kind of get the vibe from you that when they look at you, if you have like a best friend, you are constantly like cracking up at inside jokes with your best friend, like whispering to each other. clearly very close, very intimate with that person, but anyone on the outside doesn't necessarily see that exact same side of you. So you get people curious because people see that, and they're like, you know, how do I get Pal 5 to share their secrets with me? How do I get that close to them? But not everybody has that access. That's kind of the thing. And yeah, there is sort of a calm exterior there. They think you do have a calm and composed exterior, but they can feel that beneath that there's something sort of deep and smouldering. You know, there's quiet passion, there's sensuality, there's intensity that you kind of keep tucked beneath this layer of self-control. It is giving me either like water sign or fire sign energy beneath an exterior of earth sign or something like that. So like a Scorpio moon with an earth sign rising, for instance, or an Aries sun or a Leo moon with an earth sign rising, something like that. That won't apply for everyone, that's just an extra confirmation. But yeah, it's like you're very composed on the surface, but there's this current of fire underneath it, and they know it, and it's what draws them in. They see you as wise, as intuitive, they notice you're self-contained, but with this kind of barely there, blinking you'll miss it, edge of danger. And this person looks at you and they take one look at you and they're like, I know this person could disrupt my peace. Like, you know, so straight away their brain is like, oh, they're hot, they're smart, they're mysterious, and I am in trouble here. You know, you're not someone that they can easily read either, and that alone lights up every part of their curiosity. This person clocks your mystery instantly with that high priestess. They notice that your energy is very quietly powerful. They see you as the kind of person who could disarm a whole room without even raising your voice. They notice that you don't tend to overshare, but it's not complete guardedness, it's discernment. Like, your version of authenticity isn't like, here's everything about me laid out on a platter. It's, my truth includes the things I deliberately choose to keep to myself. And they notice that, they feel that. It's why they can't get a full read on you, because you're very calm, you're poised, but there's clearly such a lot going on underneath the surface. It's the kind of energy that sort of makes people talk more and just ramble on and on to fill the silence. They could notice that people do that around you, and yet you are so comfortable in the silence that they might find themselves wondering, like, what is Pal 5 thinking? What do they know? They realise pretty fast that they can't really come to you with surface level conversation, so I want to say maybe like their usual tricks, like charm and flattery and small talk, bounce right off you. It's like your energy just kind of filters out the noise till all there is like people having to be alone with themselves. I don't know if that's going to make sense to anyone, but I hope it does. I hope that finds who it's for. Let's talk about that mystical moth energy. This person is drawn to you immediately, but it's not in like a chaotic crash and burn sort of way. It's not reckless, it's transformational. You are the flame, but you are also the catalyst. So they feel this magnetic pull. It's like they can't quite look away. The room tilts a little bit when you walk in, but the wild thing is, the parts of them that needed to burn start smouldering right away. You know, all the like fake confidence, the performance, the bad advice they might have gotten in the past when it comes to love interest. Things like, oh, treat them mean to keep them keen, don't give too much. It's useless around someone like you. That is something they pick up on. This isn't self-destruction, this is sacred arson. You are the match that burns down what's no longer authentic, so something real can grow in its place. I do think that this person senses, they might not have a word for it, Pal 5, because they might not be as spiritual as you. They do think you're spiritual. They do get this sense that you're tapped into something else, like not off this plane, but they might not quite have like the language to articulate that, but they do sense a sort of comfort in you, like you are a healer, even if they don't say that directly. I don't think it's in like a let me fix you kind of way, but in the sort of my peace might scare you because it's real kind of way. There's something very, very grounding about you, very calming about your presence, and it kind of unnerves them. I think they can probably intuit, even if they're not an overly intuitive person, I think they can probably intuit, due to their own experiences, that you've probably survived your own storms and made conscious choices to live in this place of calm. But for somebody who has only ever known chaos, which maybe that's them, maybe it's you, maybe it's both of you, but definitely I think for them, they might not be as evolved on a spiritual journey at the time of this first meeting. That calm kind of feels like standing on new and unfamiliar ground. You know, if this is someone who, as just one example, they grew up in a household where shouting was the default, or where love meant having to walk on eggshells, maybe they have watched relationships around them fall apart. You know, parents who stayed together for the wrong reasons, people who cheated, people who settled, friends, family. So this person could have built a wall and told themselves, like, I'm never settling down, I'm never getting married, I know what that does to people, like, I'm not built for that. You could identify with parts of that as well, maybe in a past version of you, maybe even in a version of you now. I mean, I would think if you're here at this reading and you're not with anyone right now, that you are open to it. But if you're here just out of sheer curiosity, like seeing what will come through, and you do still kind of operate from that belief, then I guess that's an extra confirmation. But yeah, like this person says, you know, yeah, that's not for me, based on what they've seen, based on what they've experienced. And then you walk in, and it's this walking paradox of mystery and safety, compassion and clarity, and you just kind of make them question everything they've decided about love. Suddenly the script is changing before their eyes, and suddenly they're saying to themselves, like, wait, maybe it doesn't have to end in flames, you know, maybe true love does exist. Maybe this is what love at first sight feels like maybe I should give this a go, maybe things could actually go right this time, maybe I do deserve happiness. I think you trigger a lot of like worthiness wounds in this person, of like them believing that happiness, like their 10 of Cups, is something that only a select few special people get, and not something that is everyone's God-given birthright, which it is. They think that is super rare though, and in you they have found this super rare thing, and it triggers something to do with that. It's really hard to explain. In my last reading I was getting Paramore's The Only Exception. I'm also getting it for this reading too, so that song could be relevant, specifically the lyrics in that song, if you are able to check that out. And it's a really good song, and I definitely love it for anyone who has like struggled to find their person and thought that maybe it wasn't meant for them. It's a song that kind of like reinstills faith in love, and that there is a special person for everyone if they want it. Yeah, so you are that exception, you know. You feel like tangible proof that peace can coexist with passion, that love doesn't have to hurt to be real. You know, maybe at the time you encounter this person, something about it, they can tell it feels different. And I know, like, this does sound really intense for a first meeting, because how do you know all that with a first meeting? But I think, and you will know this, guys, because you are intuitives yourself. I think my previous pile 5 was as well. There's always a pile of like intuitives. You will know when the feeling is different. I don't know how else to explain it, and they know. They might not have a label for it, but they know that something feels different, because maybe other scenarios, other things that they've been in, situations, relationships, whatever, they feel like something has to be sacrificed. Like either the passion has been there, but there's no safety, or the safety has been there but there's no passion. But with you, they immediately feel both, and that went against their expectations in some way in their worldview, because they thought like, I don't know why this is coming into my head as just one example. They're like, oh, like I have the best chemistry and physical intimacy with like my toxic situationship ex, but I will never feel safe with them, so maybe love's just not for me. But with you, it's like both. They feel that insane like primal chemistry, but there's also like this sense of I could feel safe with this person too. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Like I can have my 10 of Cups, the full package. This person feels like the full package somehow. They notice that you're someone who comes across as compassionate, but you're by no means naive. You know, they see you as someone who understands trauma, you understand struggle, you understand why people might self-sabotage, but they are aware that you know that it's not your job to throw yourself into the ocean and drown trying to save someone who refuses to swim, right? You'll hand out a life raft, but you won't sink for anyone. And that is what makes you both healing and terrifying, because with you, there is grace, but there are also sacred boundaries. You will listen. You're like, we listen and we don't judge. You'll empathize, you'll love deeply, but you will also be willing to walk away the second someone mistakes your softness for obligation. And they sense all of that in you very quickly. And that's why it's so intense, because deep down they know, you know, if I do this right, this could be home. We could build something together. This could be my forever home. But if I mess this up, if I pee on the carpet, I'll never find something like it again. They sense that straight away. There's something like, oh, the stakes are actually high this time because this actually matters in a way that maybe other things didn't. And then yeah, we have the fall of civilization, the ego earthquake, weak knees, new rules. That's what I'm getting. So fall of civilization for a first impression, that is insane. But it does fit because meeting you didn't just change their day, it kind of wrecked their entire operating system, is something I want to say. It's like you walk in and suddenly all the little like social rule books that they live by are gone. You know, there's no more play it cool, no more don't text first, no more always stay one step ahead. They can't, because the moment they meet you, their society that they built crumbles. They realize they're not in control anymore. It's straight chaos. It's weird because we said calm, like calm and healing, but also like internal chaos. Like, what do I do with all this calm? It's almost like that. Everything they've ever learned about how to deal with love and people and relationships kind of gets forgotten in that first instant of looking at you. And it's not that you even do anything to like provoke this intense of a reaction. I think you've probably provoked intense reactions everywhere you go, Power 5. Like, it's become unavoidable in different ways. You just show up and you just are, and you look at them and their knees go weak, their brain goes offline, it glitches, their confidence turns to static, their inner monologue becomes like, why are my hands shaking? Why can't I form sentences? Why can't I remember my lines? Right? Because they might be a bit like, I don't want to say theatrical. I mean, they could be a Leo, a flair for drama, but they could be used to like having set lines, you know, kind of putting on a performance, but they know that they can't do that with you. So, you know, it falls by the wayside. They could be used to being really confident, and then they're suddenly like, why am I blushing? Like, why are my cheeks going red when I'm talking to this person? Their body betrays them. It's like internal earthquake disguised as a smile. And yeah, while they're trying to hold it together, they notice again that there's something about you where you're warm, you're bubbly, you know, people around you light up, you're laughing, you're chatting, you're making people feel included, you're making people feel seen. But they also notice that, again, you're exclusive, you know, you're kind to everyone, but close to very few. You have that warmth that fills a room, but there's something inherently private about you. It's like there's a velvet rope around your true self. And they instantly want in, not in an entitled way, not to like conquer or possess you, but to belong. They want to be part of your world. They want to earn the right to see you in your day-to-day softness. They want to see you laugh in that relaxed way. They want your unfiltered jokes. They want the version of you that your friends get. And this is actually part of your authenticity. You know, I think sometimes when we say like authenticity, we think of somebody who like is always speaking their mind and will just say what they think. But at its core, authenticity is just about being the truest version of yourself. And you are, but I think it's this dichotomy where it's like, I'm still just as true of a version of myself as I am when I'm with my friends versus when I'm in public with acquaintances. It's just that multiple versions exist, and sometimes I'm that one way with my friends. It's like they get to see more of my truth. Like, I'm still true in all those scenarios. It's just that people closer to me get to see more of my truth because I have allowed them to have that access, but not everybody gets that. And this person is aware, like, they can't rush it. I think they can tell that you're someone who probably opens up quite slowly or on your own terms. And they know that, like, no amount of charm or persistence will get you there faster. I feel like you're probably the kind of person where if somebody tells you to do something or they try and rush you, you will shut down. You'll be like, don't tell me what to do. Kind of like demand avoidance energy. You'll be like, well, I'm not doing it at all now because you've rushed me. They can sense that with you. And weirdly, they actually respect it. They like it. You know, it makes them want to be better, calmer, steadier. They realize that to be in your orbit, they kind of need to build from the ground up. Your energy, it doesn't destroy for fun, it destroys what's false. So the old civilization, the ego, the games, the scripts, that crumbles, and what's left is just honesty and humility and hope. So they walk away from that first meeting thinking like, they're thinking I'd burn my old life to the ground if it meant getting to build something real with Power 5. They definitely think you're somebody who's hard to get, but I think they know that you're not playing hard to get is the thing. Like this, you are truly hard to get. You're not playing games. You are being authentic. You don't have time for games. You are truly hard to get. Not everybody gets you. Not everybody deserves that. And they know that. They can see that. With Strength reversed and with that Queen of Swords, yeah, they notice really, really quickly. It kind of ties into what we've been saying, but they can't bluff with you. Like, you sort of have this very quiet power that makes people sit up a little bit straighter around you. This comes through in a few of my readings, this kind of intimidating energy, but it's not about like you peacocking or posturing or like strutting. Your strength is very subtle. You have the kind of power where like if somebody is giving an opinion or rambling about something, you can just look at them, you don't have to say anything, but suddenly they're like changing the story, or they feel like they have to elaborate or fill in the blanks, fill in the silence, that sort of thing. It's very like influential, I think, is something they've noticed. Like you can influence the atmosphere of the room, but it's by being your authentic self. I think they realise very, very quickly that you don't chase, and it's not because you're disinterested, but because you don't need to. Like, you are content on your own, your 10 of Cups on your own. You know, you're not performing femininity or masculinity or politeness for anyone's comfort. You're kind, yes, but you're not a pushover. Like, you can take a compliment, but you don't trade validation for access, I think is the thing. And if something doesn't align, you don't make a scene, you just quietly, cleanly exit. And for someone who is maybe like more used to winning people over with charm or playing scarcity games, this is kind of terrifying. And I'm not saying that's who they are, but if they are that way, it's because that is how they've learned to get love. Like, that is what they've been taught that they need to do to be loved unconditionally, which could be a trauma response. This person could be, when you first meet them, still dealing with some people-pleasing tendencies, or, you know, feeling like they have to be on the charm offensive, or they have to mask all of the time to be liked. And this vibe that you give off is kind of scary, but it's also insanely hot. They're kind of like, oh no, like, this person is immune to my tricks. What do I do? And then it's kind of panic mode. You know, they realise quite quickly with you, the only currency that you are willing to take into account is honesty and consistency. There is no, like, bypassing. Yeah, that's something I'm getting. So they actually have to work at this, which it might be scary if they haven't done that before. And only take that if it resonates. That might not be everyone. And yet, despite some of this internal chaos, they're kind of adorable about it. Like, the minute you are in the room, they kind of start short-circuiting. They will try and play it cool, but I think their body's telling on them, even in that first moment that they meet you. It's like, you could even notice they're fixing their shirt for the 5th time, even though it's absolutely fine. Maybe they do things when they're on their own, like they're practicing saying hey in their head, and then when they actually see you, they just nod awkwardly in your direction. And as another example, like, if you ever lean over them, is something I'm getting. Like, maybe you guys work together and you're showing them something on a laptop, something like that. Even if they've done the task 1,000 times, suddenly they forget what they're meant to be doing. Like, suddenly they're typing the wrong words and having to backspace and being like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that. And then, like, hitting all the wrong buttons, swearing under their breath. And you're just smiling because you definitely caught that they're kind of nervous, even if they don't act that way in front of other people. As well, I feel like very quickly after that first meeting, or even on the first meeting, they start trying to suss you out because it's kind of impossible to do so. So they will start actively trying to, like, notice everything about you. And it's not in a creepy way. They're just kind of curious because your body doesn't give anything away. You know, with other people, maybe they find it a little bit more easy to guess, like, or other people make it obvious because they're more vocal about certain things. But with you, it's not like all out in the open, they have to figure it out. So they could start doing that, kind of observing you, like, oh, when Pal 5 comes into this restaurant, they always sit at this particular table by the plant. Or if this is at work, they could notice, oh, they always bring their own lunch in on Mondays instead of going to the cafeteria. Or they always get this cinnamon latte when they're in a good mood, something like that. They start filing away these little pieces of information because they want to feel closer to you, and they maybe want to, like, bring these things up to you later as a way of starting a conversation. And honestly, they kind of can't help it. Like, even on boring days, their eyes scan the room for you. And if they spot you first, you might notice that they immediately pretend that they didn't. Suddenly they're acting like they're deeply engrossed in the notice board, or they're suddenly like tying their shoelace or adjusting their tie. It's giving like, again, cool exterior but very feral interior. They're feral for you, pal 5, but you'd never be able to tell, I don't think. I am getting another random message with the 10 of Cups, and I think it's because this 10 of Cups card, I mean, I could be completely wrong, but to me, it doesn't read like a traditional, like, biological family like the 10 of Cups sometimes depicts. It's more like the people you feel happiest with, the people you feel safest with, and it looks like to me like a group of friends, like more chosen family, soul family. So I feel like they might immediately feel that sense of soul family with you, and it is very, very different to the setup of your biological family or theirs. Basically, they realize from meeting you that they really get to choose who their family is. There's something about that coming through. So yeah, you definitely have a big impact on them. But yeah, with the Queen of Swords as well, you definitely give a vibe this person notices, where your energy says to people like, approach me correctly. And you don't teach people how to treat you by lecturing them. You just exist. So when someone tries to kind of like butter you up and use flattery to get something from you, if someone says to you like, oh, Pat 5, your hair looks really nice today, you will just blink once at them and go, what do you need? Like, what do you need from me? Or when they turn on that kind of performative, like, player bravado sort of energy around their friends, you refuse to play into it. You know, you might notice that you prefer them one-on-one when they're real, when it doesn't feel like they're performing. So you meet them there instead, and suddenly the volume drops and the mask comes off, because you will say to them like, what was that bullshit you were spouting in front of your friends? And they can't play you. They can't turn around to you and say like, oh, it wasn't like that, because you'll be like, oh, well, explain it then. And then if the answer isn't good enough, you'll just be like, okay, I think I'm done here. They're not used to that. In the first instance, you know, before they figure some of these things out about you, and that you very much like don't put up with bullshit, they might have even tried that like no concrete plan number grab thing with you, like them saying to you, oh, we should hang out sometime, and being vague. And you just smiled and you said, okay, circle back when you've got an actual plan. And the thing is, like, they do. They go away, they rethink it, they come back with a date, a place, and a real offer, because they know that vague just won't cut it. And they can tell you're not easily impressed by popularity or superficiality either. Like, your circle could be very small, very intentional, very curated, and they feel that, you know, they understand quickly, like, entry isn't just about enthusiasm, it's about alignment. And every time they shed a new layer of performance that they've been hiding behind, another piece of that old city inside them crumbles. But what's being built instead is way, way, way more real and based on truth, and not based in fear. Yeah, with the 10 of Swords and the 6 of Swords, that's kind of this quiet vow that they make to themselves. Like, after meeting you, they might not say this, but I feel like there's this subtle inner promise where they're saying to themselves, I can't keep showing up as who I've been and expect someone like that to take me seriously. So they understand that they've got to like level up. And for some of them, that means letting go of this habit of keeping every option open. For others, it's breaking this pattern of avoidance. It's breaking this thing of like ghost and don't explain, lack of communication playbook. For some, it might be closing officially those old half-alive connections, the exes, the situationships. And for a few, it's ditching that ironic, like, too cool to care mask that keeps them safe but very, very lonely. They understand they have to start steering towards a calmer, clearer version of themselves, the kind of person who does communicate, who plans, and who shows up. Your energy makes them want that. You make calm and consistency look exciting and desirable, like a luxury that they suddenly really want to be able to afford. And yeah, with that Scent card, you are accidentally sensual. It's not performative, it's effortless. You could be in like the baggiest hoodie or like really modestly dressed, and they'd still be looking at you thinking like, why is this so hot? Like, how do they look so good in like their sweatpants sort of thing? And it's something about your presence, your scent, your aura. It's like very carnal without trying. And if they ever get close to you, especially if you ever give them a hug, game over. It's over. They are done. Like, they'll try and act normal, but their brain is like, oh my god, it smells so good. They smell delicious. Like, what is that? They could have even asked you what your perfume is. You are a sensory experience for them. Your voice, your laugh, even the way light dances across your face. It's very like sacred but also animalistic at once. And they're not sure whether it makes them want to meditate or misbehave is something that I'm getting. It's like both. And yeah, with the Lovers and with the Ten of Cups and with the King of Cups, straight fire. This is the moment where they're like, I see it, like I see the vision. Like once the chaos of their feelings settles, it really, really hits them. You feel like home. You know, they can picture themselves introducing you to their friends and actually meaning it. They can imagine a scenario of like taking you home to meet the family. It's not performance either. It's not like, oh, look at this baddie who I pulled. They make me look good by being around me. It's the pride of being able to say, like, this is my person. They know that they could truly feel that with you. You bring out the King of Cups side of them, the emotionally mature grown-up, the version who can communicate, who is willing to talk about feelings, who can hold space, who doesn't flinch at vulnerability or shut it down. And that Ten of Cups energy, that's their daydream. It's not fantasy, it's not all just lust, it's comfort. It's like soup simmering on the stove, music playing softly, laughter from the next room, maybe a pet, maybe plants, maybe children, maybe just quiet companionship. It's like they see this vision of the future and all of that with you in an instant. But it's the first time in a long time that they actually see that kind of future and think like, maybe I actually want that, or like, yeah, that could be real, or yeah, that is possible for me, because maybe they didn't believe that before. They don't usually get ahead of themselves either, but with you, they can't help it. They try to fight it, but they lose. And if you've ever wanted to know like what they actually say to their friends about you, if you've ever thought like, oh, they're so soppy to me, but I bet they don't say that to their friends, I think you would actually be kind of surprised how open they are now when it comes to that. I think when they first met you, you could have worried that like what they were saying, not that it was disrespectful, because you wouldn't be with them if you thought that was the case, but like you thought they maybe wouldn't take it seriously. But I mean, it still has a bit of element of like their humour, but they could have said to their friends like, oh my god, Power 5 smelt so good that it's actually offensive, like I wanted to eat them. Or they could say like, oh, I tried a line on them and they looked at me like I'd just applied for a mortgage with a freaking crayon, like they weren't taking me on. They could say like, oh, they refuse to play my games. I'm literally forced to be myself with them. It's horrifying. Or they make me want to act like a proper grown-up. Like I actually catch myself thinking about dinner tables and shared rent and the Ten of Cups, which is ew, but it's also kind of nice. Maybe they're saying like, seriously, they're actually the type I could settle down with, and I never say that. They're saying there's just something about them, like I've met the final boss disguised as my soulmate. Or they're saying like one look from them could wound me and heal me in the same breath. Like they could break me apart, they could collapse my world, but they could also be the one to put it back together. The bottom line here is their first impression of you will not be casual. You walked in with your High Priestess intuition, your Queen of Swords clarity, and a scent that could probably end wars, to be honest, Power 5. And whatever old world they were living in, it fell. But what's going to be rising from those ashes? It's something new, it's something honest, it's something very raw, it's something real, and it starts the moment they meet you. And they are aware on some level of all of this. Not all of it's conscious, but they are aware to a degree. So that is what I'm getting for your reading, Power 5, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. I just want to thank you all so much for being here and for spending this time with me. I appreciate you more than you could ever know. Your time, your energy, your presence, it genuinely means the world to me, and I'm always honoured when you choose to share it with me. If this reading resonated in any tiny way, if it brought you clarity or comfort, if it entertained you, if it sparked a little bit of joy, please do me a massive favour. Please don't forget to like, comment, hype, share and subscribe if you get a chance. It truly supports the channel, it helps me keep doing what I love, and it allows me to continue creating these readings for you. Every little bit of engagement goes so much further than you might realise, and I am endlessly grateful for it. Thank you again to everyone who wished me a happy birthday as well. Your messages honestly made my whole day. I'm sending you all so much love, so much softness, and so much good energy. Thank you, Power 5. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.